Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 25th, 2026 Victor Planning Board meeting. Start with the pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank Joe Limbeck for filling in for me the last two meetings. I was out of town on vacation, which was very nice, but we're back. Start with some announcements. The emergency exits are to your left and right in this room. Restrooms are out the back to your left. Please be sure to sign the attendance sheet that's on the back table, even if you're presenting to the board. And there's also contact information in the form of business cards back there, along with the agenda and any resolutions that we will be reading tonight. Please silence your cell phones so you don't interrupt those who are presenting to the board or the discussions in the room. And any conversations you wish to have amongst yourselves, please take them out behind the double doors and close them behind you so you don't disrupt the meeting as well. Thank you. Can you all hear me? Okay. I don't know, Susie, can we turn up the volume a little? Maybe she didn't hear me either. I thought it was strange. I normally can hear myself out of there, but is that any better? Okay, good. Thanks for the feedback. Meeting minutes. We have one to consider on the 24th of June. Did anyone have any comments for Lisa, or did everyone get a chance to
No issues.
look them over? Trish, Scott?
Okay.
Okay. Entertain a motion for approval. Trish moves.
Second.
Scott's got it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed 4-0. Bill Limbeck is away this evening for the meeting, so he'll be back at the next one. Correspondence we received regarding several applications: Nova Rise, Lehigh, the Horseshoe short-term rental, those three. So listed in front of you on the agenda as well. Committee updates. Is Jen Tipton is here from Town Board.
Good evening, everyone. Just a couple of quick items from the town board. Budget workshops are progressing well, and I'd like to give a big shout out to all the department heads, and especially Rich, for all the hard work and due diligence they've put in. Secondly, last night the town board did set a public hearing for Monday, September 28th at 7 p.m. here in the Village Hall, and that is to determine, or to consider, rather, the possibility of moving forward with an eminent domain regarding 5 parcels up at Eastview Mall. So I encourage everyone to please attend the meeting. Any questions for me?
Nope, I think
Okay.
we'll find out Monday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Keith, planning update?
Good evening, Keith Maynard, Project Manager for the Town of Victor. So your next planning board meeting is Tuesday, September 8th at 7 p.m. 2 new public hearing items on your agenda are, the first one is a Kumatat screen room at 280 Railroad Mills. Applicant is requesting approval to construct a 120 square foot detached screened in room for personal use. It's in the LDD, which is why it requires site plan application. And then the second one is Yolikity at Victor Crossing, 400 Commerce Drive. Applicant is requesting approval for a site plan modification to add an outdoor patio in front of the tenant space. Application will include the removal of existing landscape bed and replace with pavers to match existing sidewalk pavers, installation of a new railing and associated tables, plus any carryovers from tonight. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Keith. Everyone hear Keith when he's speaking at that mic? Wasn't sure if it was loud enough. James is like, yeah, maybe. I gotta bump that up too, I think, Susie. All right, so this evening, we have a number of applications in front of us. We'll start with public hearings first. And if I butcher a name pronunciation, please let me know. But the first one is the Herscher short-term rental application, 1514 Cranberry Pond Trailer. Applicants requesting approval to operate a short-term rental out of their home. Good evening.
Yes, good evening, members of the board and neighbors. My name is Seth Horcher, and my wife and 2 young children live at 1514 Cranberry Pond Trail. We're here tonight regarding our application for a short-term rental permit. First, I want to express my gratitude to the board for the care, time, and attention you've given already to reviewing all the letters and submittals that we've presented to you. To our neighbors and community, my wife and I spent time reading through all of the emails and communications submitted to us yesterday, and we reflected on what has also been shared at the last meeting. When we heard your concerns, we recognized how deeply everyone here in our community cares about the safety, peace, and long-term well-being of our neighborhood, needs that we fully share as your neighbors. At the same time, we do want to share that reading some of the tones and insinuations in those messages left us feeling a little concerned with our privacy, discomfort with our neighbors, threatening our growth as a family, and the meaning of the word community. Our hope is that as neighbors, we can hold space for differing perspectives with mutual respect and consideration. We have submitted detailed information to the town to clarify our positions on those responses to the messages, and we welcome the opportunity to connect directly with anyone who would like to see our responses or further the conversation. We value this process, and we welcome any questions from the board or community. Thank you.
Okay. At the last board meeting, I believe members of the board expressed an interest in getting an opinion from our town attorney regarding short-term rentals and what we can and can't weigh in on or make a determination or approve or reject. And we asked Frank Pavia, the attorney that represents the town and this board, for an opinion and reference to what the code says regarding what is possible. Frank did provide a nice succinct response. I'll try to paraphrase this without reading the whole thing, but he reviewed Section 21137 of the Town of Victor zoning code, memos and accompanying materials provided by the town planning office. And then Section 274B of New York Town law relating to special use permits. Any covenants that are restrictive in an individual or a homeowners association or a private development in the town, they're private, and the planning board does not, how to put this, maybe I should just read this, it's probably easier than trying to paraphrase. So restrictive covenants are private agreements or contracts. Planning boards evaluate applications to use property pursuant to legislative requirements set forth in the zoning code. As such, since the zoning code does not state that a special permit cannot be issued for a short-term rental that is prohibited on property by a restrictive covenant, the planning board is not empowered to deny a special permit simply because a restrictive covenant contained in a deed prevents short-term rentals. The restrictive covenant can be enforced by the parties to the property's sale agreement or the neighboring property owners through private litigation. So it's not for us as a board to make a ruling on the validity or to enforce a covenant contained in a deed. That's what he's saying. So Section 21137 of the zoning code expressly states that hosted short-term rentals are permitted in residential districts. Unhosted short-term rentals are not permitted. And the Cranberry Pond property is located in a residential district. So therefore, hosted are permitted, unhosted short-term rentals are not. Therefore, if the applicant proves it will be a hosted short-term rental and all other conditions set forth in section 21137 are met, then a special use permit can be issued irrespective of the restrictive covenants. He strongly recommends, however, that the planning board require the submission of written proof in the form of either a lease or agency agreement proving that an agent of the owner, that be you, be present during the rental period, so they need to be at the residence.
Yes, that's understood.
Okay, and it's
And
not,
we have the agent of the owner here.
Okay.
Official paperwork will be signed,
okay.
approved, and we can provide that.
And so that would be something that we would certainly require, and I believe we have a clause in the pending resolution that we'll be considering tonight.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay? So, having said that, is the public hearing still open? So I will give the public an opportunity to chime in with any other opinions they may have. We have read quite a few correspondence from your neighborhood, so I'm interested to hear what anyone else may have to say. So,
Thank you for
anyone
your time.
interested in coming up, name, address, and if you can keep it within 3 minutes or so, that would be great.
Thank you. My name's Ralph Panino. I represent my wife, Maureen, and I. We live at 1632 Cranberry Pond Trail. We are the longest residents who have lived at Cranberry Pond Trail for over 32 years. We were there when Vic Mellon and Ann, his wife, had a dream of taking 100 acres of very sparse land, mostly drumlins, and creating a unique community, which he did. He made a road in there at the advice of landscape architects. He believed in building with nature, unlike most developers who come in and plow a road, take the trees, if there are any, and build. He planted over 40,000 trees. Most of the trees you see there that are evergreen, he planted. And the community has grown over 30 years. We moved there for privacy, because it was a community that you could have your privacy with your fellow neighbors. There was a trail system that we all use that encouraged the community to develop, that goes through most of the lots in the development. We're very against any type of short-term rental, because I think it will ruin the community. It will bring elements into the community that we don't need. Short-term rentals, once you start advertising that on the internet, even if it's for a trial period, as I understand this permit would be for a year, it's forever. Once it's on the internet, it never comes off. That exposes the neighborhood to things that people outside the neighborhood don't even know that we have there. We have a very unique community that's very private. Starting to do rentals, I think, will destroy that. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for your comments. Just a quick question for you, Mr. Horscher, if you can step up. What is your intent for the duration of this short-term rental? I understand you're taking your family to Japan?
Yeah, our initial period would be for a year to go to Japan to have our family experience my wife's culture and education there.
So the intent is to go for a year and then come back, or did you have other
Yes,
plans?
I mean, who knows what's going to happen in
Yeah.
a year, but that is the intent currently,
Okay.
yeah.
If the plan changes, in other words, you feel you wouldn't be coming back, would you then just sell the home?
It's a possibility. I mean, I don't know what would happen in a year, so
Yeah.
I can't answer that.
Kind of looking for a sense of
Yeah.
duration here.
I mean, I built this house with my bare hands using woods that Vic Mellon planted to side our house and furnish it with things. And
Yeah.
I have a commitment to this house because it means a lot to me and
Sure.
my family. So selling
Okay.
it would be a very serious proposal for us
All
to
right.
do.
And I'm asking questions because I wasn't here at the last
Yeah,
last
no
meeting.
problem.
So, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Anyone else interested in addressing the board and the applicant? Good evening.
Hi, my name is Doug Kennard. I live at 1600 Cranberry Pond Trail, and I've been a longtime homeowner and resident of Victor for over 25 years. I moved into the Cranberry Pond Trail neighborhood in 2021, the same year that the house under consideration was being built. If I had known at the time one of my neighbor's houses was a short-term rental house or would turn into one, I would have reconsidered purchasing my home in our tranquil neighborhood. A short-term rental property will likely create a whole host of unwanted issues for the entire neighborhood to contend with, including excessive noise, a constant flow of transients coming and going from the neighborhood who have no vested interest in where we live, as well as the higher possibility of home break-ins due to more and more strangers passing through the neighborhood. As a teenager who came eye to eye with a convicted felon as he was breaking into my parents' house, this is a real-life concern of mine. Issues like these will only be compounded for us as neighbors, especially considering that Seth and Asami, the owners of the short-term rental, are planning to move to the other side of the planet to live. I've spent countless hours of time and effort on the inside and outside of my home to make a better place to live long-term. Code Enforcement Officer Adam Reisig has been in my home multiple times over the last few years to improve permits that I have personally applied for with the building department. In essence, I have tried to do all I can to improve the quality of life for those of us that live along Cranberry Pond Trail. On the opposite side of this spectrum, I believe a short-term rental in our rental property in our neighborhood will only hurt and diminish the quality of life for all the homeowners who actually live in the neighborhood, those of us who consider this to be our forever home. If this short-term rental property were to be approved, I fear it will only begin to open up a Pandora's box of more outsiders buying up other properties in the neighborhood and turning them into short-term rentals, multiplying issue after issue that we as the neighbors of these short-term rentals will likely be forced to deal with. Lastly, I believe that Mr. Mellon, the architect of our small neighborhood, designed Cranberry Pond Highlands with the legal intention to house long-term Victor homeowners for high-quality residential use, which is expressly stated in our Uniform Plan of Covenants, Easements, and Restrictions. Residential use does not include transient lodging or temporary vacation rentals used for commercial use that are constantly flowing with short-term renters and transients week after week, month after month, year after year. With that said, I firmly object to this proposal. Thank you for your time. And I'd just like to hand you guys some.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. Lisa just let me know, and I'll just further share it with the board, that we did get a copy of this in our Dropbox, so, but thanks for the extra copy. Hi.
Hi, I'm Tom Travato. My wife Renee Watkins and I live at 1534 Cranberry Pond Trail. You received a couple pages from me as well. I spoke at the last meeting at length. I won't bore you with all that. I'd like to ask something, if only rhetorical. I know you're here to ask questions, not have me ask you questions. But in your code, this is 211-37, it says ongoing month-to-month tenancies are excluded from the provisions of this section. How do you square that with what's becoming a duplex? You have stated by the owner of the property that you're going to have long and short-term rentals at the same time at the same residence. I don't understand how that can happen. It's specifically in your code.
Well, the long-term piece is the owner's proposed agent, and he said that.
So it's in a certain interpretation, it's an unhosted rental. The owner.
Well, it is a host.
should,
If there's an agent in the home, and we had this before the board last year, I think it was on Breakaday Road, a different residence. It was a separate structure, but the agent was on site and was completely responsible for making decisions on the condition and maintenance and care of the property. So that was not. I guess I'm looking at that as similar, even though it's one structure, not two.
And I believe you
And
made the
there-
wrong decision in that case. I reviewed that as well. But I regard this as unhosted. I think the intent was to have, the legislative intent of this code is to have the owner, the person who is the responsible party, not a hired hand, manage the property.
Well, it does say owner or owner's agent.
I understand what it says, and that section of the code completely guts a legislative intent, in my opinion.
Not according to our attorney, but okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Floor's open. Until we close it. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move.
Al moves,
Second.
and Scott seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing's now closed. And we can start some additional discussion or deliberation. Al, any thoughts, comments from your perspective?
Well, I guess my first thought is, right, that the town made a conscious decision, the town board, to allow for this type of short-term rental. And that's, I think, really the governing body that should determine whether or not this community wants short-term rentals or not. Given that the town has passed that code, provided the applicant is compliant with all the requirements, even though certainly the community members have all expressed reservations, concerns about potential impacts, I don't currently see any factual basis that any of that would come to fruition. And this is for a maximum of a 1-year special use permit. And there's also requirements that if there are any violations, right, that there's a 10-day cure period. So there's some, I think, guard bands on, if some of these come to fruition, there's remedies for those.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I'm at on this.
Okay, all right. Scott?
I agree with those comments, and I think this has been an issue for every community where I do business in the area.
Make sure you're close to the mic.
Struggling with short-term rentals, VRBOs, Airbnbs. When I look at the town of Victor and their code defining owner and hosted, I agree with what the town attorney says. We don't have a legal basis to say no to this application. Am I ignorant of how the neighbors feel about it? No, not at all. But I see no basis on which we could deny it.
Okay. Trish?
So I have a question in regards to the definition listed for short-term rentals in this section. The following term shall have the meanings indicated: hosted, the presence of the owner on the property during the duration. You mentioned it was owner or agent?
Agent of the owner.
Because I'm reading here, I don't see agent on here, so is that indicated on the actual, let me see, owner, the permanent or entity that holds legal and/or
There's the kicker right there.
or the agent of the owner authorized to take remedial action any violation.
Yep. I was looking for that, too.
You were looking for that too, okay. Yeah, no, I saw that and I said I just was struggling with that because, in this case, I mean, certainly short-term rentals and is becoming, quite normalized everywhere. I think the complication of this is having that owner not even in the country. I think that's just the extra added complication that, say if the agent for some reason decides to no longer do this, like how is that remedied? Those are the, it becomes complicated.
It becomes a violation. I think that Al alluded to that too, that if something happens where they're now in violation because there's no longer an agent or the owner on the property, then it could be reviewed over and has to get resolved within 10 days. Otherwise, it'll be rescinded, the covenant, not the covenants, the permit, special use permit would have to could be rescinded.
Yeah.
Right, and so there's some protection there. If things go on the property that are obstructive or in violation of the code somehow, then that could also be challenged as a violation of the agreement, you know, and then action would be taken accordingly. So there are some protections. Was there something else, or do you have another question about that, Trish?
No, I mean, I think the thing I'm, struggling with is just being out of the country
Mhm.
and knowing the issues that could arise, and then, just how will the neighbors,
Mhm.
how will they be able to address those issues as that's ongoing? And what's their recourse?
Well, that's when you come to the town and
That
say
when
there's a
you come back.
violation, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And that's why I want to clarify that
Mhm.
they do have that protection.
Yeah, and I think some of that's built into the resolution, that they have to have an agent under contract who's going to be responsible for that property. And it would fall on the owner's agent and ultimately the owner to make sure that things are rectified and in accordance with the town code and to the satisfaction of the town staff. So,
Likely triggered by a complaint.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
So, I mean, it kind of begs the question, what kind of people are they assuming might come and rent the property? And that's where I think Mr. Horscher is probably concerned about the tone of things that came in comments from the rest of the neighbors, is you're assuming that there's people that are just awful coming in, if potentially. And who rents a B&B unless you're downtown in a city or something like that? I mean, you're coming out here for quiet and to visit the region, go to the within the Finger Lakes, all kinds of attractions, if that's what you're doing as a Airbnb type of business. I don't see how that can be disruptive to a community. I know I don't live there, and I'm sorry if I'm offending someone here, but I just don't see a problem. And we're talking about a year. And there's things to, and I'm speaking to you folks, so I'm sorry for not looking in their direction, but I don't see this as a major or even a minor disruption to your daily lives. I can't hear you unless you're up with the mic, so, and I did close the public hearing, so I get that. I've heard and read a lot of, or all of what you've said, both from the meeting minutes at the last meeting, and through letters and comments you've heard tonight, so.
If I
Yeah,
could just make
go
another
ahead.
comment.
Sure.
So, I mean, obviously, I think one advantage of the nature of the public hearing, right, is it's abundantly clear to the applicant, the homeowner, and the agents, the sentiment of the local residents, and I would expect they'll do extreme diligence to ensure none of this comes to fruition.
That was better said than I put it.
That was a
Thank
very
you,
good
Al.
point. Well said.
Yeah, I
So-
agree.
No, that is a very good point. And I think it's important for them to understand that, probably not going to want to deal with complicated situations being on, the other side of the world. So,
Yeah,
so it's going to be important that, obviously the screening process of having, making sure that it's, candidates that are not going to create issues, I think is going to be important. Otherwise, it could bring us back.
I'd like to see the harmony in the neighborhood maintained, and I'm sure that you do too. You've put an investment into your home, just like everyone else has in their homes. That's a gorgeous area. When I first came to Victor 45 years ago, when we started looking around for properties, I think Vic Mellon had started it, I don't know exactly when, but
It was about done, yeah.
yeah, so, it's like the Adirondacks up there. You look at all the trees, very peaceful. I'm a little envious of those of you who live there, and I'm certainly, that's sort of played into what we chose for property to live here in Victor, so, I knew Bruce Mellon, his son, and Bruce's kids. My kids grew up in did scouting and all that kind of stuff together, so I know the family very well. So, he had good intentions. He certainly did a beautiful job with it, and I can empathize with your concerns. I believe that this homeowner is committed to making sure that it remains peaceful. Otherwise, he's going to endure the wrath of neighbors, and that's never good. So, that's all. I guess that's all I really have to say. But we don't have a way, honestly, or the right to deny a special use permit if it's permitted, and he's satisfied all the requirements. So, if there's other actions that are in violation, I guess, of some covenants that are in your deeds or, agreements, then, or contracts, then that's between you and your neighbor. But I would hope that it wouldn't come to that. I think that you'd want to let this play out and know that he's intending to be a good neighbor continually. So, and that includes anybody that would come in and visit and be temporary. So, as well as the selection of an agent. So, with that, I guess that's all I have to say. Does anyone else have any other comments? We do have a resolution that's that we got to vote on, and that is, and there is a copy in the back for those of you who might be interested. So, for the Horseshoe short-term rental, 1514 Cranberry Lane, or Pond Trail, whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 8 of them. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Seth Horseshoe for a special use permit received by the planning board July 7th, 2026, planning board application number 8, SU 2026, be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to chairman's signature on the site plan. 1 is standard. 2, that the comments from the code enforcement officer dated July 23rd, 2026 be addressed. Number 3, that the planning board require the submission of written proof in the form of either a lease or agency agreement proving that an agent of the owner will be present during the rental period. Ongoing conditions, that an annual certification be submitted to the planning and building department naming the agent of the property, that an annual fire inspection be submitted to the planning and building department. 3, that the special use permit issued shall be valid for 1 year from the date of issuance, subject to subsequent renewal periods, and this would be coming back before the board for 1 to 3 years, depending on the decision of the board at the time and at the discretion of the planning board. And number 4, that the special use permit approval will be rescinded within 10 days of the filing of a formal complaint to the code enforcement officer if said complaint is not resolved within that 10-day period. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. So with that resolution language, do I hear a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Scott moves.
I'll second.
Al seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 4-0. I hope you continue to be a good neighbor and that things go well for you in Japan. So.
So it is hosted, or do you have a special? Are they? No?
Second one up, Dave Pole Barn, 7875 Dryer Road. Owner Jamie L. Day, Revocable Trust.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you this evening?
Great.
My name is Jeff Day. I'm here on behalf of myself and my wife, Jamie Day. And we are the proud new owners over at 7875 Dryer Road. We're moving back to our street where we grew up on. We're building a house right this moment. And what we are here to do is to get a permit to add a pole barn to the property. I believe we've had comments back, and I don't know, would you like me to kind of walk you through kind
Yeah.
of what our intent is and all that?
Yep.
Sounds great.
Public hearing, and there are people that may not have seen it.
Oh, very good. Okay, sounds good. So what we're proposing, obviously, the drawings that you have there to the front of the section where the barn is proposed is where our new home is being built. The barn is going to be used just for storage of equipment, lawn equipment, our vehicles and that sort of thing. I did notice in the questions back from Labella, I believe there was an error. There was a section here that said that there was a potential use for hay storage, a loft, and animals. There is none of that. It is just for storage of our items, like I said, vehicles and that sort of thing. The dimensions are 100 by 50. We've been through and through our engineer, figured out what we needed to do for drainage and rain mitigation and all of that. So I believe that's it. It's pretty straightforward. It's just there it is. That's what the AI rendered. Yeah. The best that ChatGPT could do is right there for you. So did you have any questions for us?
Sure, I guess Labella had some comments, I believe, and okay, if you wanted to start with that, or?
Sure. They were fairly minor, so I probably won't go into too much detail, but generally our comments were clarification. So
Really?
height of the structure, grading, proposed utilities. We did receive a response from the applicant. We haven't gone into those, but I believe that all these items can be resolved.
Yep. I think
And
most of the questions, I believe, were on the prints, if we dig into that just a little bit.
yeah. So we don't have any major issues, and I do see that potentially included in the resolution includes our comments to be addressed by the applicant, so we don't see any.
In our staff meeting, I think Wes brought up the fact that there was already some grading on site before the plans, and they may not have shown up on the previous site plan. It looks like it's been updated.
Yeah, I think the grading that is shown on the drawings that you have there will be what the grading is. We did put some gravel up there just because we had construction going on and we had other materials being delivered and heavy trucks and things like that, so yes.
I
So it's
think,
all temporary.
I think they were concerned, not concerned, but just wanted to make sure that that was the approximate grade
Yes,
layout that you're intending for the barn,
that is correct.
and then that it showed up on the plans, so, okay.
Yeah, we'll make sure that those ISO lines are observed though.
Okay.
For rainwater mitigation and.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the drainage pattern around and stuff, so,
Drainage pad, yeah. Mhm.
okay. Al, questions?
No, appears to be fairly straightforward.
Yeah, okay. Scott?
No, I don't think I have any comments on this. It looks pretty straightforward, and the other site plan for the home, I presume, was already approved and
That's
that's
correct.
underway, so
Yep.
this is just kind of an add-on to it, right?
Yeah, this was always kind of the original intent. We just kind of split those into two, just, so we didn't have another, well, I'd say complication in the second structure when we were.
Well, get going where you're gonna live, and then, then get the barn.
I don't know if the fire chief, fire marshal weighed in, but it looks to me that by virtue of creating your barn, you've actually created also an area in which fire trucks could turn around, so.
That is correct.
So I think you killed two birds with one stone.
Yeah, what a wonderful thing. Yeah.
Trish?
Right around the corner from me.
Well,
Excited
come on
to see
over.
it.
We got
My neighbor.
a barn party here soon.
Welcome to the
Trish.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
No questions.
All right, wonderful.
Do you have any concerns storing vehicles that, for fire suppression or anything? I don't know if you have any plans to put,
No, there's no fire suppression in the barn. Again, it's just storage. It's a
Yeah.
couple, lawnmowers, tractor, a car or two.
all right. Since there's at least one neighbor in the area that's here, anyone else that have any questions for the applicant, since it's an open public hearing? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
move.
Al moves,
I'll second.
and Trish seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I don't believe there are any other outstanding questions, so
Sounds great. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time, everyone.
thanks for bringing
Have a wonderful
everything
evening.
to clarity here, and we have a resolution to vote on. So, Day Pole Barn Site Plan, 7875 Strong Road, application 25 SP 2026, whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 7 of them. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Jeffrey and Jamie Day, site plan entitled Day Pole Barn Site Plan, drawn by Land Tech Surveying and Planning, dated August 27th, 2025, received by the Planning Board July 22nd, 2026. Planning Board application 25 SP 2026 be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to chairman's signature. 1 is standard. Number 2, comments in a letter dated August 25th, 2026 from LaBelle Associates be addressed, as Kate noted. Ongoing conditions, all 4 are standard, and be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. So with that resolution presented, do I hear a motion?
I'll move it.
Scott moves,
Second.
and Al seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 4-0. You're welcome. Can you just come up to the mic? That way I can, Lisa can get the procedural question on there too.
This is probably simple, but do I just come back to the town to get my building permit? Is that how that works?
So what you're gonna have to do is, the comments from Tom Sutherland did come late in the day, so
Oh,
nobody's
okay.
had a chance to respond
Oh,
back. So
okay.
what I have to do is wrap up all the comments. Once that is good, I will let you know that I need, site plan for signatures.
Okay.
Once that's signed, then you can get your building permit. I think you have it in, right?
We do.
Okay, and as long as you've addressed everything on that, once I get signatures, we can release it.
Wonderful.
So-
Thank you much. We'll check back then.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much,
Okay,
everyone.
you're welcome. Okay, third one, 820 Canning Parkway addition. 820 Canning Parkway, owner Flexland LLC. Sorry, I didn't bring my glasses this evening. Applicant is requesting approval to construct 15,200 square foot, one-story addition to an existing building for a total of 40,200 square feet. Good evening, James.
Good evening, everybody. My name is James Creedicos. I'm with BME Associates. I'm here on behalf of Flexland LLC. As Mr. Logan just mentioned, this will be a building addition to an existing industrial park property, the Canning Parkway. This business currently houses Omni Operation. They are a formed tube division, so they do steel fabrication for air handling and fluids. So they do a lot of like welding, pipe bending, kind of like custom fabrication. So what we're doing here is a proposed building addition, approximately 15,000 square feet. It's going to sit in the rear of the property and then basically kind of follow along the 2 setback lines. Development's pretty straightforward. There's really minimal site work that we need to do. As part of the operations, we're going to be expanding the parking in the front area here as well as up here to provide a total of 40 parking spaces for their expanded business. They are growing pretty rapidly. This is preferred to them as opposed to relocating the business outside of Victor. I think they were looking at some places in Henrietta, but we came to an agreement with the owner to kind of try and work something out. Besides that, some of the extra parking area allows us to accommodate full tractor trailer turning movements. On the addition, there will be 2 new loading dock bays here. This is in addition to the existing ones that they have here. This allows them to bring in 20-foot sticks of the steel tubing and get it into the facility easier without maneuvering around a lot of the existing stuff, as well as additional area for storage and then, expanding of the business. In terms of commentary, we responded to the ones we had received to date this morning, which I believe were just code enforcement and the construction inspector. There was some clarifications from the code enforcement officer on our exterior egress stairs at the northwest corner. These are for emergency egress, but per the code enforcement, that is then considered part of the building. So what we're going to do to remedy that is there's only about a 3.5-foot grade change at this corner today. Right now, we are planning on walking it out to accommodate the set of stairs, but we can easily fill up to have an exit to an at-grade pad. We're also going to look at trying to relocate that door further south on that exterior wall, just where the grade is closer to at grade, just to lessen that grading, but that's architectural egress requirements. I gotta confirm with that. So I have confirmed we have the ability to move it. I just don't know how much
Yeah.
we can slide it. So in terms of grading though, that's pretty minor. We've got, plenty of room between the building and the side yard swale, about 15 feet. So putting a 5-foot pad and then dropping, 4 or 5 feet is not a problem at all to accommodate. It'll just make mowing a little bit more difficult for the user. Besides that, no new utilities. Everything's going to be extended inside. So water, sewer, both of those, and electric. So nothing new in the right of way. We don't need to get out there and do any new connections to public utilities. I did see that the the town engineer comments did come in this afternoon. I did have a chance to look at those. The comments were regarding the Arundequoit Creek watershed thresholds. Yes, that is, we have verified that. The second commentary about the infiltration trends being below previous location of pavement, that pavement was removed specifically to get below that threshold. So we're very well aware of that. In terms of site drainage, everything basically currently flows into a rear yard swale today, and then all kind of works its way up here. There is an existing dry well on the property to the north of us. Doesn't look like it's had any issues at all. It's dry as a pancake. And then there's actually a significant amount of storage on the lawn area upside of that. I don't actually know if there's a discharges to waters of the U.S., even if we looked into it deeper. But we're below the IWC thresholds, and then we're also proposing to add in a stone, basically dry well there to accommodate a 10-year storm from the roof runoff. So we're going to give it a spot to go and let it infiltrate. There is an existing stone drywall already on site from a previous building addition that was done a couple of years ago. So we're just going to basically expand that and kind of rework that area when we're out there. We do have a couple more landscape plantings, a couple evergreens and a couple deciduous trees here along the northern property line that will kind of enhance the existing trees out here just as our building's getting a little bit closer to the property line. But that's really about the extent of our addition. It's an unlisted action, so if you guys want to take motion tonight, obviously we'd be willing to accept that. I don't think there's really any outstanding comments. We'll take care of formal responses to the town engineer and getting plans updated to their satisfaction.
Okay, well, let's hear what the board might have to ask or comment on. Al, start with you again.
Well, again, it's nice to see businesses be successful and growing and expanding and not opting to go to another municipality, so that's a positive. James, I just wanted to confirm that the minimum green space requirement, 35%, is still being achieved with the...
Correct, yeah, we're not asking for any variances. The only thing we're requesting is a front parking setback. Actually, the existing parking spaces sit at 53 feet. We're a couple feet more with our addition, but we figured we would just get the request in front of you guys today just to make everything kosher.
Otherwise, I'm all set.
Okay. Scott?
So you're 37% plus or minus, right? Instead of, you're 2%
Correct.
above the
Yep.
35. With that in mind, and you're saying you don't really have to do anything for stormwater control, you just let it go on its way and that's okay?
So we're below the threshold, so technically we wouldn't need to get any permit requirements with the DEC, and then we're also below the IWC. However, as I mentioned, we are doing a dry well that will take the roof downspouts from a large portion of the addition and detain up to a 10-year storm. At that point, it would just overflow and then go into the lawn area
Okay.
that's located north of our site.
And that's being evaluated by the town engineer, right? So I guess as long as that's taken care of, I'm okay. I think you've maxed out the site with as much as you can get within 2%.
Yes, this development was kind of fit into the allowable code, just to kind of, make sure that this business had room to grow and could be successful here.
Yep, okay, I don't have any more comments.
All right, Trish?
So the existing parking currently, you said, is 53.4 feet from the property line, and the proposed additional parking, 56, and town code is 80. So did the board reduce the parking setback in the prior for the parking?
I don't have documentation on that. I would assume that it would have been done at the time. That's why I'm kind of bringing it up and requesting it
Yeah.
now as part of this application. So I don't have formal documentation that if it was or wasn't requested. But that would have been at the original development of this, which I think was back in the 90s or 80s. It was quite a while ago. I'm not aware.
When was the addition put on, the
I
first
believe the
addition?
addition was put on, I think, 2020, 2021.
Okay, I'm wondering if the setback would have been,
We were the ones that did it, and I didn't have documentation of that existing parking. That parking was already existing at that point.
okay,
So
yeah, kind of what I was
I'm
thinking.
not positive, Trish.
Okay. I was just wondering, just because, obviously, we have the ability to reduce the setback from the 80. I was just wondering, because it already was, not meeting that criteria, so I was just curious, the history of that.
Yeah, I'm not 100% positive, so.
Okay.
Or are we being asked to grant a waiver on that?
Yeah, I think that James
Yes.
put the request in to formalize it, I guess, and the additional,
Yeah, and I believe it was
Parking
one
is-
of the Lobella comments as well.
speaking of LaBella. Kate, you're up.
Yes, as the applicant had mentioned, our first comment was asking to verify the impervious surface calculations as they apply to the Arundecoit Creek watershed requirements. Parking setback, we have a comment noting the applicant is requesting that the planning board provide flexibility with the front parking setback requirement of 80 feet, and that the proposed parking is essentially aligned with the existing that's currently in the front setback. And then additionally, in the town's design and construction standards, it states that dry wells shall be separated a minimum of 10 feet from structures. It looks like the proposed new dry well is about 7 feet, so a waiver may be required.
We'll revise that. I was actually planning on kind of elongating that and making it more of a long linear practice, just to kind of get a concentrated flow away from the building and then allow it to kind of, infiltrate a little bit further away. But the soils out here have all been very sandy, and we don't really see any existing problems. There's actually an existing dry well that sits right in the corner of this parking lot today that receives quite a bit of runoff, and again, has no issues when it operates. It takes all the storms, and they don't have any flooding or anything.
But would that be then removed and
Nope, we're gonna leave it alone. It's kind of just, it's tucked in there by itself. We don't really anticipate any issues. It'll be something we'll evaluate as we're out there building the building. If anything, we would just create like an overflow conveyance to the other dry wells. That way, if it did flood help. But there's only a couple feet of elevation. And like I said, they've been living at this place for a long time, and there's no history of this ever having an issue.
Which way does I should have asked this before, which way does the drainage in the parking lot just tends to just drain away?
Yeah, everything basically sheet
Existing.
flows to the north except for this little kind of corner in here, which is tucked by some of the loading docks, which created a low spot.
Yeah. And it's not being regraded at all for the part, you're just leaving the asphalt surface at grade and then adding, cutting
Yeah,
in.
there's a little bit of grading modification, right, to get, the right height at the loading docks, but
Yeah.
everything is gonna basically just be a repave and kind of leave the grading as is for the most
Right.
part.
As long as you got some decent positive drainage, I guess that's good. Anything else, Kate?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, this is a public hearing also, so if there's anyone here that has a question regarding this application, otherwise, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move.
Al moves.
I'll second.
And Trish seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the board? And I guess the next question would be, can we cover these modifications that we just kind of went through with you between now and when you submit the drawings for review by the town engineer, enough to make a resolution for this one?
I have a resolution if you are ready, but I don't have anything for a waiver for a dry well, so that is up to you if you feel that Bella's ready for that, or if you want to wait for revised plans.
I guess probably would be better to get everything tucked together. James?
I mean, I'm pretty confident we can accommodate a 10-foot. If for some reason that doesn't happen, I'm gonna be here in 2 weeks anyways for Woods of Allentown, so we can certainly request the waiver at that time, but I think, when I provide responses to that, I'll just update the plans accordingly. There's only a handful
Yeah.
of changes, and then,
Okay, so as long as they can be addressed, which is what we usually. put
yeah,
in the
I'm confident that we
resolution.
can, and if not, for some reason, I will let you guys know.
All right, you guys okay with pushing this through?
I think we should process it.
Yeah.
I think you can move a dry well 3 feet.
Yeah.
All right, Lisa just happens to have one in her pocket.
Thank you.
James, you want one?
Oh, please.
Yep, I think we got enough.
Before we do this, could
Yes.
I see the landscape consultant reviewed the project and provided comments. May I ask what the comments were and whether that affected the design?
He had no comments.
No comments, okay? Fine.
He was good.
There it is.
It was one line.
James like, what?
No, you let me know.
Sorry, didn't mean to jump on it.
Okay, so we do have a draft resolution here for consideration. 820 Canning Parkway Edition, application 23 SP 2026, whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 10 of them, including Labella's comments. Whereas the Town of Victor Code, Chapter 21132A 2D1A allows the 80-foot setback for parking to be reduced to 56 feet and shall be permitted by the Town of Victor Planning Board, and be it further resolved that the Planning Board allow the reduction of parking setback from 80 feet to 56 and be approved by the Planning Board.
Yeah, that, if you want to revise that language a little bit, we can. I can meet with Labella to clean that up a little.
Okay. Let's do that.
Okay.
Okay, so we're paraphrasing at the moment, James. We'll have some minor modifications. And whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board reviewed the unlisted action on August 25th, 2026, and identified no significant impacts, now therefore be it resolved that the project 820 Canning Parkway addition will not have a significant impact on the environment, a negative declaration be prepared. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Flexland LLC site plan entitled 820 Canning Parkway Edition, drawn by BME Associates dated July 21st, 2026, be received by the Planning Board July 23rd, 2026. Planning Board application 23 SP 2026 be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to the chairman's signature on the site plan. One is standard. Number two, comments in a letter dated August 6, 2026 from the code enforcement officer be addressed. 3, that the comments in a letter dated August 25th, 2026 from Abella Associates be addressed. And Kate, would that include comments regarding the dry well? Okay. I didn't know if I needed to add any language for that. Ongoing conditions that, 1 is standard, 2 is standard, 3, exterior lighting be compliant to code and approved by the code enforcement officer. James, I didn't ask this question. Is there any lighting on the building now that is not in compliance with the current lighting code?
No, it's all going to be dark sky compliant, and that was one of the code enforcement comments, was to put the ISO foot candles on the plan. So that will be incorporated with the lighting
Okay.
plan as well.
I just want to make sure that if there's a lamp on the building now that doesn't comply, that it be modified or updated.
No, I think the only 2 lights that we're messing with, there's 2 like wall packs
Okay, so they're
here.
being
They'll
removed?
be they're basically going to be relocated or replaced in kind here.
Okay, all right, thanks. Want to clarify that. And that a building permit be obtained prior to start of construction of the building addition. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. So with that, entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
Scott moves.
Second.
And Al seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 4-0.
Wonderful. Thank you guys very much.
Welcome, James. Dover subdivision site plan is the next application up. Benson Road, owner David Laniak. And applicants requesting approval to construct a single-family home with septic and on a 2.6 acre parcel. Good evening.
Good evening, board members. I'm David Cox with Cox Engineering, the civil engineer for the landowner. So this site was previously approved by the planning board for a house much closer to the road. So when the lot got sold, the new owner wants to push it back off the road a little bit more. So we came in for a site plan modification. Septic staying in the same space. So no change there. We're keeping all grading outside the conservation easement, which is on the, kind of in the middle left on the page. As far as comments, we did receive comments from Highway about directionally drilling the water main under Baker Road, which we do call out a directional drill for the water main, so that's taken care of. Code enforcement just wants us to confirm that the turnaround meets the radius for the fire truck, which we'll confirm. There's a comment about perhaps some additional protection on the conservation easement during construction. LaBella also had that comment and suggested possibly some orange construction fencing along the conservation easement, which we can do to satisfy that requirement. An accessory structure impact on the conservation easement. We're not gonna put any accessory structure in the conservation easement, no grading. We're staying completely outside of that. So there won't be any impact there. And then show locations of the conservation easement markers. So there is markers out there on that conservation easement. LaBella also had that comment, so I will add those locations to the site plan. And then as far as LaBella comments, I already talked about the conservation easement area. Sanitary lateral, they just wanted me to confirm that the laterals have enough depth to avoid crushing under the driveway. So I did confirm with the SDR 30 or 21 4-inch PVC pipe that we're good there for not crushing. Wanted me to add a driveway detail, which I can do, and then add a signature block on the detail sheet. So those are all the comments. So there's no issues there. I can address all of those. I'm done.
Oh, okay. Scott, we'll start with you.
Okay. I remember this one from before, and so this is just a modification of what we had already approved, I guess. Is that correct?
Yep.
The only thing that jumped out at me is on your wastewater system, your leach lines, you've got them 6 foot on center. I believe 8 foot is a minimum requirement, not 6 foot.
6 feet in for New York State guidelines, and Monroe County is 8 feet.
Monroe County is 10 foot. I'll just,
We could have LaBella confirm.
yeah, we'll have LaBella confirm that. That's fine. That's all I have.
Trish?
I have no questions.
Al?
All set?
Okay. Regarding the septic system, I was looking at the location of the tank distance, basically from the home. Seemed kind of long. Is there any, I'm not aware of it, but is there a code or a limit requirement for distance between the house? I know you're at 2%, which is pretty good grade for
Right.
a septic line, so it should drain quite nicely. But is there a distance maximum, I guess, that you're,
I don't know of any code requirement for a distance maximum.
because we've had another application in town where on top of a hill, they put septic leach fields way at the bottom. So there's quite long run, steep and all that. And that was a whole nother issue, but it was quite a distance. But I didn't think the tanks were very far from the home. It was the leach lines or the transit lines to the leach field that were quite lengthy, but on a steep grade. So this one sort of jumped out at me as seeing most septic tanks are pretty close to a home. So I'm asking, I'm not from a knowledge base other than interested in knowing. So,
Yeah, I can definitely do a little more research in that.
Mhm.
And I mean, if we need to move it closer, there is room to
Yeah.
move it closer to the home.
yeah, it
so.
looks like you're not wanting to be under the pavement, I'm sure, with a septic tank.
Right, correct, yep.
So, your other option is to get it either near the garage or right by the front of the house, and that might be too close to the house. I don't know. Maybe that's,
Yeah, you got to be at least 10 feet away from the
yeah,
house.
right. So, you may be stuck with kind of where it is, or you might have to offset it a little different direction, but the grading isn't conducive to that either, so.
Yeah, and maybe in the center, because the turnaround, There is a grass area in
Yeah.
that middle area, so perhaps could go in there to get a little
I'm
closer.
not asking you to move it, I'm just saying, just check it.
Yeah, I'll double check that.
Okay. So, other than that, anything from Labella, Kate?
You're right on the 6-foot centers.
Okay,
Okay.
there it is. Asked and answered. Okay, it's a public hearing, so open up the floor if anyone has any questions for the applicant. Pretty straightforward, nice lot, probably a beautiful home. So, having said that, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
A move?
Al moves,
Second.
and Trish seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried 4-0. Unless there's any other questions or concerns, I have a draft resolution that Lisa put together. If you'll have it, I can read it. So, for the Stover site plan on Benson Road, application 24 SP 2026, whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, there are 9 of them. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Cox Engineering PLLC site plan entitled Stover Site Plan drawn by Cox Engineering dated July 2026, received by the planning board July 21st, 2026. Planning board application 24 SB 2026 be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to the chairman's signature on the plans. One is standard, the comments, number 2, comments in a letter dated August 3rd, 2026 from the code enforcement officer be addressed, and number 3, that the comments in a letter dated August 25th, 2026 from Labella be addressed. Ongoing conditions, 1, 2, are standard. Number 3, highway permit be obtained for installation of the driveway. Number 4, the highway permit be obtained for installation of water service. And number 5, the building permit be obtained prior to start of construction. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. So, on that resolution, entertain a motion for approval.
Move it.
Scott moves,
Second.
and Al seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 4-0.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay, our last one this evening, Woods at Valentine. Oh, no, sorry, there's 2 more. I almost
No,
got trapped
forget
by a
Nova.
removed note on 2 of them, a 6 and 7. Sorry, James, you're number 5. Woods
You're
at
fine.
Valentine, section 2 to 4, final subdivision.
Hello again. James Creedicos of BME Associates. I'm here now on behalf of Commercial Street Partners LLC for the Woods of Allentown Final, Section 2 through 4 application. So we submitted this application after going through the preliminary Mylars, getting those buttoned up and signed by town staff. This submittal is consistent with that, with the exception of, I think, 2 changes. We included an easement plan, which we then submitted a easement abandonment application to the town board with some more colored exhibits. I'll walk you guys through those with exactly what we're proposing to do with the conservation board. And then we also made some changes based on some of my discussions with Mr. Rueda, our neighbor. And I'll give you guys an update on kind of how that progressed. But I first kind of want to step into, I think, the town engineer comments and some of the discussions I've had with Keith Maynard as well as Wes regarding the sanitary sewer capacity, because I think that's kind of a big crux right now is Wes did provide me the comments. I did have a chance to look through them. I think most of them are pretty basic. A couple things that we need to submit, an updated ENOI, LOC, we're working on both of those. But the big one being the sanitary sewer, basically pointing out that there's not capacity in the downstream conveyance systems at the pump station 14, I believe, to accommodate all of the sections at this time. So the one thing that they were asking is that we can get 2 and 4 approved now. 1 is obviously previously approved from earlier this year. So what we are going to do is we are going to suck section 3 out of our application. We'll provide updated plans. We're basically going to leave a hammerhead turnaround road stub right here. We'll basically build out this intersection and then we'll just stub our utilities. We're still going to be planning on doing the clearing, probably mass grading, just while we're out there doing the rest of it. There's kind of minimal stuff in section 3. And then we do need to take dirt from 2 and 4 into 3. So it will still be involved in our earthwork operations. We'll still have erosion control measures. We will just take out the pavements, the buildings, and the things, obviously, that would kind of trigger that next thing. My understanding is that as soon as the issues with it are identified, solutions determined, and then there's capacity available, then we can come back in and come back for final section 3.
I believe that's correct. Keith?
Is correct, and I want to thank James and the applicant for working with us on that.
Yep.
Okay.
So beside that, I think I'll go into the conservation easements. That's kind of the easier thing. So if you wouldn't mind going to, I don't have the clicker, right?
Just to step back a touch, you mentioned some mass grading required and a site redistribution of fill into 3, correct?
Correct.
While
So
you're doing 2 and 4.
We're actually going to be working in all 4 sections at once.
Oh, okay.
The 2 and 4 are both in cuts, and 1 and 3 are both in fills. So the sequence of this, starting with 2 and 4, we get all the dirt there, we put it all in 1 and 3 where we need fills, and all 4 sections are at an approximate balance. We don't anticipate taking dirt
Okay,
off.
so that works well. People shouldn't be alarmed that there's work going on, things that, for instance, on Site 3 that hasn't been approved yet, but it's a viable thing to redistribute soils.
Right, and it's obviously
Plans
been
at the site.
preliminarily approved. We're not proposing changes to that design. That'll be what we come back with when we're able to move forward. It's really just, this board has been directed to not approve that because of the sewer capacity, which is completely understandable. We don't want to be creating a downstream issue for any of the residents in the town, obviously.
Okay, great, thanks. I just wanted to get that out there.
So you mind going to the town board easement exhibits? Oh, we don't have those?
What did you want?
The colored easement exhibits I submitted to the town board, did those not get put on there?
Did you send them to the town board?
Copied you too, it's fine.
Oh.
Tell you what, I realize you guys aren't going to be doing an approval or action tonight anyways, so we'll just talk about that in 2 weeks. But basically what we did was we submitted an application to the town board requesting abandonment of 7 easements. There was 2 utility easements that were for storm sewers, one that was for water main, the other 4 were conservation easements. These were created back in December 2007, I believe, with the original subdivision of the properties when the High Point office buildings were getting subdivided, the right-of-way was getting created. At that time, they created all the conservation easements for the whole property, as well as water main easements when the town still owned the water, so that's obviously not applicable anymore. They took drainage and access easements through all the sections. A couple years back, we dissolved the access and utility easements when we redid Section 1 and then reestablished that when that was reapproved. We're basically doing the same thing now in Sections 2 through 4. The 2 utility easements are for storm sewers. Those just aren't relevant anymore. One was located along this property line. Another one is kind of in the parking lot area. These were associated with the old original townhouse layout that was done back then. The 4 conservation easements that we are proposing to dissolve, the one large wooded area kind of in here, as well as one that sits kind of between these areas here and then along this property line. We're basically just dissolving them and then approximately recreating them in the same location. There's about a 0.1 acre change. I think it's about a 1.4% reduction in total conservation easements, but they're in approximately the same location. It's just going to be refit into our final development. So it's going to follow the new tree lines, the new grading limits, soils and things that haven't been disturbed. I met with the Conservation Board last week to discuss this. They were supportive. They've issued comments in their meeting minutes about this, about the methodology of this. We're looking to just dissolve these 4 easements. They all exist in their own easement document, just those 4 that we're looking to change. So we can just nix it. And then we would be recreating new conservation easements with new language, site-specific based on the Conservation Board's input. The only other difference is that now we are also proposing a conservation easement along the very western portion of these townhouse units to ensure that those trees that sit on that walk-off slope between these units and then the other residential components stay there forever and provide buffering. They don't clear them off so they can get a better view of the hills and stuff. So that's the main change with the conservation easements. Again, I'll go over the specifics of those and show you guys the exact changes, but when you flip back and forth between them, you almost can't see. And then the other easements that we're going to be doing is just access and utility easements.
Sorry, I'm going to get it up for you.
Oh, perfect.
It took a little. We're switching.
Thank you.
to-
Appreciate that.
Is that the one?
That's it. So this is our existing property here. The blue is the outline of the Woods of Allentown property. The yellow are existing drainage easements that will stay in place. The lavender, magenta here, and then also in this area, these are existing conservation easements. Those are in the loop of High Point Drive. Those are in a separate easement document. Those we're not touching. That already has language in there to allow the trails and things with Victor hiking. So these 4 green are the conservation easements that we're looking to dissolve. And then you can kind of see in the red here, here, and here, those are the utility and the water main easements. Again, those aren't applicable, so we're just going to abandon those. If you would go to the next one. So here is our proposed site. Again, blue is the property outline. These are conservation easements, yellow are drainage easements, and then these are our 5, there's the 4 there, and then the 1 over here, conservation easements. Again, they're in effectively the same location. We're just moving things 10 feet this way, 10 feet that way to fit into the new design. And then all the red through here, these are all the new access and utility and drainage easements that we provided along the roadways, storm sewer systems, and as well for the stormwater expansion. So any questions on those before I
No.
move on? Okay, perfect. I think the other main change here, and I apologize, I did not have time to submit this earlier, is with the neighbor, Mr. Rueda. So me and him have met probably 5 times. I know he is. Oh, he is here. Perfect. We've had some discussions on and off about the property. I've spoken with the applicant about additional accommodations. When we made the application about a month ago, at that moment, me and Mr. Rueda had an agreement on kind of what we were looking to do. He has since came back and is still requesting more land. Basically, what we have now proposed is, in addition to kind of what we had talked about before, instead of doing easements for just access in the shed, we are now proposing to do a lot line adjustment and give him approximately 27 feet in width by an average of about 160. It's kind of this whole corner. It's about 1/10 of an acre. And this will accommodate all of the shed and surrounding areas. We're still going to have the same landscaping proposed. We're still going to end the fence line right where the water main easement stops. We will still have a probably 5 by 5 foot easement for the water main service. Basically, the issue with that is if we move the lot line any further, we are now going to be in conflict of our own setback requirements and then have to either go through zoning, which we will not get a variance from a PDD. I know that, and then that would then mean the answer would be to go through the whole PDD modification process with the town board again to get the setback adjusted here, which obviously would be a lengthy process. My understanding is per the town attorney's input that this is a private property dispute. So I would, request, I think what we are providing is well above what would normally be required for something like this. So I don't know that this is a issue to hold up approval at this point. Obviously, this does require the neighbor to work with us to allow the lot line adjustment to be executed and put in place and the property conveyed. The alternative, I guess, could be as we could still subdivide the land when we do our subdivision and create a landlocked parcel, with the intent to convey it. But I think the lot line adjustment makes more sense from a town standpoint, as long as it doesn't cause any other issues with zoning and having multiple zoning codes, because obviously this does exist within the High Point PDD.
So as I understand it, looking at the illustrations that you've provided since we last spoke and met, he's actually able now to have his property contain the driveway, the shed, and any other physical things that happen to be off of his property line.
Yes, and I do have
And-
a little.
Yeah.
With the exception of the well, right?
The well, the well is just going to remain on an easement to avoid, as you mentioned, James, avoid the setback.
Yeah, so
property
this,
setback.
this is the clip of the landscape plan that we submitted in the application with some colors on here. So the red is the area that we are proposing. This is what was submitted on the plans at the time. The yellow are the trees that we're proposing through there. The green would be the easement to the well that we've always proposed. It was a little bit longer and more linear. And then the blue, obviously wrapped around here, is the 430 feet of fence that we're still proposing to basically encompass his property.
Okay. This, in my opinion, this solves any issues that, you know, were outstanding, even with the well being on a easement. It's not a water well supplying potable water, correct? It's just it's a well for watering your plants and things like that, right? Mr. Wada? Yeah, so,
Correct, yeah.
irrigation, thank you.
It's been confirmed that, or we were told that that is not connected to his potable water. And we did have some commentary from the Water Authority about, you know, removing the well because we have public water, but we've communicated with them what's going on.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there is some things we would need to wrap up with the Water Authority, but
I know, Mr. Wada, this is win-win, the way I see it, the way he's got it here. So that's my opinion at the moment. So, go ahead, James. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
So that's really about it. You know, I think what we'll plan on doing moving forward is, we'll, similar to the canning, I will provide you guys responses to the town engineer comments, and get an updated set of plans that shows section 3 being removed. We'll address all the rest of their commentary. And we'll be back in 2 weeks to kind of request approval. But is there any other commentary, questions, things that you guys would like to see that, you know, you haven't already discussed or reviewed with us?
I don't know, I guess we'll see in terms of the balance of 2 and 4. You know, you've got trails and, you know, the sidewalk, I guess, we talked about going up to the townhomes on 2, I think it was.
Yep, yeah, I think at the moment, our current plans as submitted have sidewalks up in the townhouse sections. I know that was, this was kind of a lingering item, I think, from the preliminary approvals. We got the preliminary plan signed with the natural surface trails running up the roads, but I know that was always kind of an item that you guys were requesting sidewalks, and there was some commentary back and forth for some different people. So I don't know if the board has an opinion on if they would like to see that installed at this point to move forward. Or if they
Well,
would-
my opinion, I express, I don't know how other people feel, but it's, to me, a natural surface at a 10% grade, that road it's too steep for a maintenance. I mean, it'll erode, it'll wash out pretty easily, based on my experiences with these. So I would rather see a impervious, you know, a more rigid surface, I'll call it, structural surface, either asphalt or concrete preferably, but, you know, down to the High Point Drive.
Yeah, and we're, like I said, there's the natural surface trail is already located and graded out like it could be a sidewalk. So it's,
Yeah.
I'll review with our client and see if, you know, they have a preference versus asphalt or concrete. I appreciate the, you know, the option. I would assume that we'll probably end up with concrete just to keep everything consistent since we're using it up on the townhouse sections, but I'll review with them and get those reflected on the updated plans.
Okay, that's the only thing I had outstanding that I could think of at the moment.
I had a question. Well, first of all, I think the 4,400 square foot conveyance is a great way to take care of the issue that emerged in our meetings that we've had. And my second part of my comment or question is, does the administrative lot line change, does that happen now, or when does it happen in the process?
So that's where I think it would require the neighbor to cooperate. I know the other example that you guys brought up about the easement thing that happened in Cobblestone, the neighbor basically didn't cooperate and it never got executed. So that's where, you know, there is some extra work that, you know, my applicant, or the applicant would have to pay for, because we're going to have to go do boundary survey, create the, conveyance map, and make, you know, an administrative lot line application to the town. So there's some extra legwork. You know, if they're not willing to work with us, that's where I said we could just create this as its own little parcel with the intent to do it in the future. We could always default back to providing the easements, which is a little bit easier to accommodate. You know, we're kind of willing to kind of work. However, this is kind of the maximum, though, that we can realistically provide without causing additional issues for the project as a whole.
Looks like a good solution to me. I hope it goes through, and then I hope it's recorded properly.
Well, Mr. Wade is listening, and I appreciate that.
That's all I have.
Trish?
And you're saying that the fence would still be part of that project?
Yeah, so
fence
the
that
blue
would-
line on this, fence all the way up and
It
around.
goes up to where the water
Terminating right
line
at that easement so they can continue to access the well.
I know there's conversation that was important that it'd be a brown fence so that it would look, you know.
The color, yeah, the color,
It-
white,
yeah.
brown, that's irrelevant to us. I think it's actually, I believe it got changed to brown.
Yeah.
We did talk about that, yeah.
I remember things like that. Because that was important, it being,
I will make sure it's noted as brown on the plans.
There you go.
just because you agreed to that when
Yep.
we were on that walk, so I just kind of held on.
Yeah,
to
and
that.
this fence is basically what we agreed to from a location when we were doing this with easements, and then obviously now we're just conveying the property to just kind of make it a little cleaner.
Al, is anything from your perspective? Okay, I don't know, I'm sure we'll have a chance to review things again from Abella's perspective. There's nothing that you had right now, right?
No, I think that it was communicated, but essentially, based on current information, LaBelle is not confident that all three sections 2 through 4, can be accommodated, so.
Regarding the sanitary, yeah.
And I think all
Okay.
the other commentaries were plan edits, minor things,
Yeah.
and then just again, LLC, and then an updated ENOI, which at this point now, if there's no other, comments that affect design, we'll move forward with
Yeah.
those things and get them in.
Okay. I think that's it.
Perfect.
Okay, James, thank you. Now, this is the last item. Nova Rise, preliminary subdivision, 973 Brownsville Road.
What happened to the open meeting here?
I'm sorry? It's a closed, the public hearing was closed.
Why?
No, it was closed previously.
It's a final subdivision, so there is no public hearing. Public hearing was during preliminary.
Yeah, it says not a public hearing on the agenda, so. Okay.
All the way out here, and you guys saw me sitting in the audience, it would be really nice if you would allow me a quick opportunity.
Okay, just understanding that this action is between you and the developer, I believe.
I have comments that are relevant to the board.
All right, well, I'll give you 3 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. And name and all that, just for the record, please.
Yes, and I can, I know my name is tough to spell. So my name is Oglen. I'm a partner at Thunderbird Kessler. I represent Mr. Edwin Rada. As a preliminary matter, the application that's here cannot be approved in its present form. It's seeking a subdivision. That means it's cutting the property up. As a result, it would result in a property that is non-conforming because it would result in a structure that is over the property line on a new subdivided property that would need to go to the ZBA for an area variance.
So are you saying that a lot line adjustment wouldn't be satisfactory or would not be doable?
Well,
basically taking one lot line and moving it.
That's not
It's
part of
not-
the application, though. So he would need to go to the ZBA for an area variance as part of this subdivision application. He would also need to identify the ZBA as an involved agency for purposes of seeker and do coordinated review with them, send them a lead agency letter. And the big issue, again, that we have here is the facts are undisputed that Mr. Moretta has maintained these improvements for 26 years or more. This, as a matter of law, the undisputed facts establish that title passed at the time that those elements were satisfied. You don't need to then need anything else to create that title. It vested. So the applicant does not have clean title to bring this application. He needs consent from someone who has another property interest, Mr. Retta. So,
Okay. So can he consent?
He
I mean,
has
that's a
not
pretty
consented.
well, can he?
He could if he wanted to.
It
but
seems
with-
like a great option from our board's perspective that you're creating an adjusted lot line to include the building or the shed, and that's the only thing I believe that's included in the, what do you call it? The encroachment, that's the only thing that's encroached that is,
So I think what would
satisfies a occupancy, I guess you'd say.
I think there are 3 encroachments. There's the driveway, the well, and the shed. And the proposal with this fence leaves out the well, which is obviously one of the most important of the improvements here.
Well, when you say leaves out the well, the fence is on the owner's, the developer's property, not on Mr. Rueda's property.
And if we push the fence 5 feet further, I believe that would be north, it would protect the fence. And I wanted to point out for the board's awareness, New York State General Municipal Law, Section 99, specifically empowers the planning board by resolution to require fences whenever there's an open well nearby. This is a safety issue.
Is it an open well, or is
It
it a
is.
sealed well or closed well?
It's considered an open well. It's being
It's a-
used.
It's a pipe, well, yeah, but to me, an open well is a wishing well. It's got, somebody could fall into.
That's not what the language of.
Okay, I'm just saying to me. I'm not saying,
understood.
I'm not a lawyer, so.
Understood.
Wouldn't that requirement fall upon the homeowner?
The planning board.
Oh,
you-
but who owns the well today, or who put the well in?
Well, we didn't put in the well. The well's been there. But the requirement to put up a fence could only attach to the person whose property the fence is on. Obviously, you couldn't require a condition of someone who's not before you to put up a fence on property they don't own, right?
Well, this is going to be his client's fence, and it's going to be on his client's property,
And you
correct?
can require the fence to extend to the other side of the well so that these families with the kids and the animals and their pets are not at risk by having ready, visible access
So you're
to
okay,
structure a
you're
well.
okay with the easement with the well, just having a fence go around the well?
He wants my client wants the property interest, and the purposes for you guys here is the fence. I'm not going to talk about property interest to you guys because that's not really relevant to you, but he wants the fence to extend, so it's showing here on the red line,
Yeah.
going 5 feet further north, so that
Whole
it's-
fence, or just one, just the one piece that goes around the well?
I believe he wants the whole fence so that it's not like a weird cutout. And if it does that and goes around the well all the way to the line, then it prevents the people that are these families. I mean, you have lots of families coming into this apartment and subdivision. It prevents those kids and animals from being able to see this well, see this shed, come down there and explore. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old boy. If they were up, and saw a shed and a well, they're going to go find it. They're going to go explore. It doesn't matter how small it is. It doesn't matter if the fence, is right next to it. If you make that visible, you're inviting access. So not just from a matter of liability for the developer, but the town has an ability here to protect people by requiring that fence to go on the outside of the well, where the people are going to be coming from. So, aside from the access issues of confusion that the driveway is going to create, the constructive nuisance issues with the well and the shed, you have the ability to impose these conditions, and the developer doesn't even have the legal property right to bring this application without the consent of the landowner. He hasn't satisfied seeker. There's a lot of problems here before this can go forward. Thank you very much for giving me time to speak when the public hearing was closed. I really appreciate that.
Okay.
That shows a lot of class. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
If you have any questions, I'm happy to address them either in writing or verbally. I work with towns a lot, so half the time I'm sitting on the other side of there, so
Okay.
let me know if I can help.
What I would ask is if you put your reflections and opinions and comments in writing and submit it to the planning department, and we can have our lawyer obviously review it as well to see what his opinion is.
You want me to CC Frank?
Yeah.
Okay. If you have any other specific questions, let me know. I'm assuming since you're asking for me to submit something in writing that you'll leave it open to consider the
Well,
submission.
just because a public hearing's been closed doesn't mean that we don't accept comments and input from the public.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Welcome. You too. Okay. Now it's the last application. Nova Rise preliminary subdivision, 973 Brownsville Road. Morel Team in Motion, RKH Golf Inc. is the owner. Applicants requesting approval to construct 76-lot clustered subdivision on a 158.2 acre parcel that includes 3 parcels. And I believe the discussion this evening is surrounding any updates that you would have from us based on previous comments.
Exactly. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Cole Papasurgi with Marathon Engineering. With me today are members of the Morel Team in Motion. here today, as mentioned, to provide some updates since the last meeting. I trust that, Joe, you've been brought up to speed on the last couple of meetings, so then I'll just kind of keep it to the last meeting updates.
Okay.
Three main things, some comments received. Second, talk about some screening, and then third, some lot line adjustments. So to start, we received some additional town comments from the Code Enforcement Office, Highway and Construction Inspection. We provided a response to those comments earlier today. I believe you might have a copy of those, and happy to discuss any of those comments or those responses tonight. Second, want to talk about the rendering of the screening at the board's request. At the last meeting, we were asked to put together a visualization of what the landscaping screen would look like. So we've done that. I don't know if I can flip to that first slide. It doesn't appear I have got the clicker.
Susie, can you go back to the first one with the trees?
And one before that.
There. Thank you.
So to help the board visualize what that landscaping berm and trees look like, we've actually prepared two different renderings of it. One at the time of construction, where those trees are a little bit smaller, and then one 3 to 5 years, which is the next slide, when those trees are a little bit more established. Susie, if you can flip one more slide forward. And this slide kind of shows what that looks like. From the subdivision side, of course, landscaping works two ways, so it's a little bit easier to convey that screen from this side without the houses in the way, so we opted to show it from this side. But ultimately, providing a substantial buffer in landscaping and berms.
That's a view to the south from within the subdivision to be built, right?
It's the view towards Ozano Circle.
And not for nothing, I was out there today just to drive by as far as I could get in there, and there's a lot of vegetation on the owner's side. There's a lot of deciduous trees there as well, which I assume are, excuse me, enclosed or included in that visualization that you have.
That's really what the problem was, is most of it is deciduous. Everything you see there is deciduous. Nothing was added deciduous. We just added the evergreens. So that obviously in the winter you have screening as well.
Okay.
And the berm height on that rendering?
5 feet.
5 feet.
5 feet, okay.
Yep.
One for comparison.
Yep.
So really showing the sense of privacy that the developer is trying to provide for both the existing residents and their future residents. So then lastly, wanted to talk about some adjustments to some of the lots at the last meeting at the board's request. Labella had highlighted a couple of lots for the developer to take a look at, see what we could do to try to pull houses away from Ozano Circle and to mimic the connection at Brownsville Road to the best of our ability. So we actually provided two different options. Option one, we have, and you can kind of faintly see I've got the existing or the previous lines dashed on there. But previously that lot 36 was right there. What we've done is we've taken the flag lots to the rear units and shifted those flag poles to the plan left side of the units, allowing us to shift the houses up along the street further north. That allows us to get about 40 feet of additional separation from that property line. Really, shifting that development away further.
And I think based on what I saw today out there, that it's deeper into the woods than when you were closer to the road, if I remember right, isn't it? Aren't those homes further into the area that's covered not only by whatever you preserve, but I think the neighbors have some dense vegetation back there as well, right?
The lots in the back, you're
Yes.
saying? Yes. Yep, there's a more substantial tree buffer towards the back. And then you can also see on here our proposed berms supplementing. We would be proposing to supplement, or field locate those to provide the best possible screening at the time of construction.
Yeah, not only do, as you go back, the houses, obviously there's an angle to Zano, so their backyards are a little deeper, potentially, houses are a little farther away there. But we had to work hard to actually find space for our berm as you go back there, because there's plenty of vegetation. So we were left with, when we walked that ridge, how many feet do you have back there? 10, 12 feet, so we're not, landscapers said, they'll have to work hard just to get the berm in. Where up front here, there is more space.
Yeah, it seemed leaner, if you will, as you get closer to the stub road.
Yes.
But as you proceed in that direction, it gets dense.
Yes.
And then Susie, if you can go to the next one. So as we review this, we also had another separate option to provide for the board's consideration, where in this case, we had a larger corner lot in the development, and we were able to relocate that lot 36 in here while keeping all the same 75-foot width. So that's got a 75-foot width just like all the rest, and then this is sized per regular corner lot, consistent with the other corner lots in the subdivision. And that gives you can see where the old location was for the house, and that provides about a 60-foot difference, additional 60 feet from that house to the property line. With that, Bill, if I thinking I forgot anything, or?
When it was important, that, you know, we kind of line these two up here, these two homes. So both on the right and the left-hand side, there's equal distance. Obviously, we still have the flags over here as well as here. But when you come into the subdivision, these homes are about the same distance from the property line that we own here. So in both situations, the board, you know, we're happy to choose A, B. I think we accomplished, you know, creating a more privacy for the people along our property line.
So with that, I'd really like to ask the board if they have any questions or input on the two options.
Scott, you want to start?
Well, I think it's good that you gave us the two options and that you did what we asked you to do to help justify what's going on here. It was actually Wes's comment that kind of generated all this, as I recall. I think that there is a lot of natural landscaping out there right now, once again, deciduous, and yes, it's supplemented by what you're doing. And I think if, for those three flag lots that go into the woods, I think they're pretty inconspicuous based on how dense it is back in there. So I think you've done a good job to try to buffer as best you can, you know. And you know, I've been around the town a few years here, and I see a lot of residential subdivisions coming in, and when you're up against a commercial development or something, I think these issues are very critical. I think, well, one residential subdivision next to another residential subdivision, I don't think the visual impact is that terrible. I don't think you're seeing too disturbing uses or anything like that. So I think, speaking for where I live, I can look across my yard in various directions and I can see other houses, and I'm not really offended by that. Granted, I have some mature landscaping in my yard at this point in time, which will happen in this development as well. But I think this is a reasonable way to address the issue that was brought up last meeting.
Trish?
I'm sure the neighbors will appreciate the attempt to create an additional buffer. I think that looks, that you did a good job incorporating some of the recommendations and going in the right direction.
Al?
Yeah, I would agree with the comments, and I guess the two options considered here, I think B pushes the house further to the north, which I think is a positive direction. So I guess that would be my recommendation of the two presented here would be B.
I'm going to be a little contrarian. Looking at this lot here, you managed to put 2 homes there. Why can't we do 2 homes here and remove one of these? Or have 3 homes across here, not one with 3 flag lots, and then have the other home here, so that you're maintaining the density, but you're reducing the impact visually or conceptually, at least, from the neighbor's perspective.
Yeah, so the lots, which is 57, which is the north lot there, this one here, that is slightly smaller than what this lot was. So this was just able to accommodate the extra lot, whereas in this one wouldn't be.
This is a huge lot relative to any of the other ones.
Yeah.
And I guess, I wouldn't mind having that nice big lot if I had to choose from the little ones.
And something that we were looking to do at final would be to shift this roadway slightly over to kind of even make that corner lot.
I was gonna say, you could shift that roadway one way or another, but
That is the intention, to shift that road and equalize these 2 corner lots even more. Now that we've shrunk that one a little bit, just for final rather than.
yeah, I have a hard time with these 3 all together in such a small space. And to me, 2 fits better than 3. This is a pretty large lot, but it sounds like, doesn't this one kind of jog over here, and then this one kind of jog through the conservation easement in terms of road access, if you will? I mean, they're not all,
Currently, all 3 flags for these 3 lots
Yeah.
Are right here. So the road access would be here. We would have a cross-access easement for a unit to cross over to the property. These 3 units are no smaller than any of these units for the flag portion of the lot.
I mean, in dimension, like width and length?
Yep, so this lot and all 3 of these lots are the same lot size here. They're just set farther back and have that added flag.
Is this conservation easement here, or is it up here where the hatched line is?
The hatch line is the conservation
there.
easement.
So this is woods. These people have like no backyard unless you take away trees. Is that true?
Yeah, I think Bill can talk to
Okay.
desirability there.
It's really important, if we go this route, if the board chooses B, I really would like to straighten this road here so we can equally distribute the space that we steal from this lot here amongst these 2. They work, they fit, but
Barely.
we're squeezing them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree with that.
Yep. So if we can straighten this road here and steal some land from this lot, we can equally distribute and really make this Plan B work well. And I don't know if you remember being up there, Joe, but these are gorgeous sites.
Oh, yeah, I have no doubt. They just seem very close to each other.
They will have, very expensive premiums on them. Those will be the choice sites.
Yeah, but
And-
this person here, though, has 3 houses in his backyard almost. You know what I mean?
I mean, as it is today, now, it is, they're deciduous trees, but it's tough to see their house here. That's even, with what is here now, what's here now, and then putting the berm in front. So, I kind of agree with Scott that this is creating privacy for both sides. I don't want to build a site that just doesn't work to squeeze in a lot there. But if stealing one from here is going to take probably one of the nicest sites that we have away from the subdivision, and then putting it in a position here, which is okay, don't get me wrong, that site will sell, but these are beautiful sites, and Joe's even farther, this house is farther from that than the original lot here, so it's quite private on both sides, and very usable sites. Yes, we might have to take down some trees in through here, but very little. We usually clear 30 feet behind the home for the customer.
So this conservation easement looks like it's kind of too close to this house, and just like this side is right up against it. That's the biggest concern I have.
Oh, the side yards?
Yeah.
Yeah, my concern is the rear yard. People want privacy on their side yards. They don't use their side yard. So, I mean, having the privacy in the trees there is just going to create an ideal buffer for them.
All right. Not convinced, but I hear you. So, what else? What other change? We got comments from fire department, I think, and town highway regarding the access road. I think they're pretty self-explanatory, but they're pretty adamant about maintaining this as a 2-lane road. And I would ask that this sidewalk be connected to the sidewalk on Lozano Circle. Because right now, it looks like there's a gap here.
It's, that's just a rendering, issue with the rendering. It will fully connect.
Yeah, that's, we need to do that.
Yes.
That minor, but, I understand. Anybody else have any comments for applicant at this time? You have anything else you want to bring forward?
I mean, I did make a comment at the last meeting that I'm still willing to sit with Scott and work with his property and do some trees on his side over there, because he's really, as much as we worried about his backyard, his side yard is going to get exposed if there's two lane traffic, which
He doesn't have fencing like the neighbor
Correct.
across the way.
Yeah, I don't have any room for landscaping on the other side, but Scott's is going to be exposed, and I told him, if that becomes the 2-lane road, that I would work with him on putting some trees up there so that we could do a similar burn, because then it just exposes his whole side yard to traffic, which is worse than having a house behind you.
All right. Any changes? I know that we talked about a hammerhead at the other end.
Yes.
For turnaround. How would that work with that house that's right up against the property line?
One of the things we would be looking to do is Bill would work with the co-applicant to maybe have that be on the,
On the Ray side?
yeah, with a temporary easement.
Because eventually, if you got a connection there, you'd probably demolish that and run a street to it.
Yep.
All right, I'll be interested to see how that gets worked out. Otherwise, you're invading front yards and 2 houses. Because it's a T, right? That's what they want?
I don't think Toby and the Rays would have any issue with that.
Yeah.
Creating an easement there to have a hammerhead work properly.
Yeah,
We
like,
talked to the
you talk about right there.
snow
Yeah.
and fire and all that.
Okay. Sort of the inverse of what we did from Lozano Circle.
Yes.
Okay. I can't think of anything else at the moment that comes to mind from all the things that you guys have been doing. So, unless you have anything else for us? None? Oh. Got it. Kate's got part 2 of the environmental assessment form that we'd like to get started, I think. So.
Susie, can you change to my screen, please? I'm just going to put the part 2 questions on there.
Okay.
So, fun part. seeker Part 2. Applicant filled out Part 1 as part of their application. Part 2, you can see they're connected. Each of the questions, A through H for this one, correspond with sections of Part 1. So item 1, proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site. That we have answered as yes. For A, the proposed action may involve construction on land where depth to water table is less than 3 feet. The Part 1 identifies that the average depth of the water table is 3 feet. However, the site is predominantly well drained. They had indicated that almost 75% of the site is well drained. So currently, as part of the draft, we have no to small impact. Proposed action may involve construction on slopes of 15% or greater. Currently, we have moderate to large impact may occur. About a fifth of the property has a 15% slope or greater. However, potential erosion and slope-related impacts likely can be addressed through grading and erosion and sediment controls. C, we have the proposed action may involve construction on land where bedrock is exposed or generally within 5 feet of existing ground surface. Part 1 reports less than 5% of the site consists of bedrock outcroppings, so impacts are likely to be small on that. We have D, proposed action may involve the excavation and removal of more than 1,000 tons of natural material. I don't believe that this action will remove that much natural material. This is not a mining operation or anything like that. E, we have proposed action, oh, sorry, I'm going too fast. So C and D, I have no or small impact. Next, E, the proposed action may involve construction that continues for more than 1 year or in multiple phases. I have no or small impact. It looks like construction will last more than 1 year based on the materials submitted. However, the construction-related impacts will be temporary and limited and won't be associated with permanent operations of the site. And then the last, and then F, we have proposed action may result in increased erosion, whether from physical disturbance or vegetation removal, including from treatment by herbicides. Currently, no or small impact with implementation of appropriate stormwater management and erosion control practices. Potential erosion impacts will likely be small. And then G, also no to small impact. Proposed action is or may be located within a coastal erosion hazard area.
And it's
Property
not.
is not, okay. Next section of the EAF is impact on geological features. The proposed action may result in the modification or destruction of or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landforms on the site. For example, cliffs, dunes, minerals, fossils, caves. Currently have that marked as no. I have no knowledge of those types of natural features being present on the site. Next, we have item 3, impacts on surface water. The proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies. That is checked as yes. And then first item is the proposed action may create a new water body. This is no or small impact. In terms of water bodies, really the only thing that would be created is the stormwater management pond, which is part of the site's overall stormwater management system on the site. B, the proposed action may result in an increase or decrease of over 10% or more than 10 acres, increase or decrease in the surface area of any water body or any body of water. Part 1 does not identify any water bodies being increased or decreased. C, proposed action may involve dredging of more than 100 cubic yards of material from a wetland or water body. There is no dredging that is proposed as part of this project. Next, D, the proposed action may involve construction within or adjoining a freshwater or tidal wetland or in the bed or banks of any other water body. The site does contain federally identified waters, 2 Class C streams, as well as, I believe it's a federal wetland that is there. However, based on the plans that are submitted, there's no direct disturbance of any banks of the streams or no filling or disturbance of the wetlands. There's actually a buffer that is around the current wetland on site. Next, we have E, the proposed action may create turbidity in a water body, either from upland erosion, runoff, or by disturbing bottom sediments. For this, likely any sort of turbidity that may be caused would be likely during construction activities, which are, temporary and limited. And with proper erosion and sediment control measures, this will likely have no or small impact. F, the proposed action may include construction of one or more intakes for withdrawal of water from surface water. Proposed development is going to be served by existing public water systems and doesn't include construction of any intake or direct withdrawal of water from the site or from nearby surface water bodies. G, the proposed action may include construction of one or more outfalls for discharge of wastewater to surface water. Project does not propose construction of any outfalls. H, the proposed action may cause soil erosion or otherwise create a source of stormwater discharge that may lead to siltation and other degradation of receiving water bodies. With the implementation of the SWIP and erosion and sediment control measures, potential impacts to receiving waters will likely be small. I, the proposed action may affect the water quality of any water bodies within or downstream of the site of the proposed action. Again, there's proposed stormwater management system that is designed to manage runoff and minimize any sort of pollutant transport. J, the proposed action may involve the application of pesticides or herbicides in or around any water bodies. Part 1 does not identify any application of these items. K, the proposed action may require the construction of new or expansion of existing wastewater treatment facilities. To my knowledge, this development is going to utilize existing facilities and that the proposed action does not warrant an expansion to this infrastructure. So those were all, as part of the draft, indicated as no or small impact. Impacts on groundwater is item 4. So proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer. Based on the information provided in part 1, no has been selected for item 4. For item 5, impact on flooding. The proposed action may result in development of land subject to flooding. This property is not located in a designated floodway. It's not in the 100-year or 500-year floodplain. So as part of the draft, part 2, no has been selected for item 5. Item 6, impacts on air and climate. All of these, the proposed action may include a state-regulated air emission source or generate greenhouse gas emissions, over 10,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents. Currently, we have that as yes, based on the construction equipment that may be used. However, all of the items A through H are no or small impact, generally because the impacts to air emissions, greenhouse gases will likely be related to construction, which is temporary and limited in its activities. Seven, we have impact on plants and animals. The proposed action may result in a loss of flora or fauna. As part of the draft part 2, yes has been selected for that. A, the proposed action may cause a reduction in population or loss of individuals of any threatened or endangered species. And I believe that there are no state or federally listed threatened or endangered species identified on the site. B, the proposed action may result in a reduction or degradation of any habitat used by any rare, threatened, or endangered species. And part 1 does not identify the project site containing any habitat used by state or federally listed threatened or endangered species. C, proposed action may cause reduction in population or loss of individuals of any species of special concern or conservation need. Part 1 does not identify any species of special concern or conservation need. The proposed action may result in a reduction or degradation of any habitat used by these species. These habitats have not been identified on the subject property. E, proposed action may diminish the capacity of a registered national natural landmark. None have been identified on the project site. F, the proposed action may result in the removal of or ground disturbance in any portion of a designated significant natural community. And part 1 doesn't identify a designated significant natural community within the project site. G, the proposed action may substantially interfere with nesting or breeding, foraging, or overwintering habitat for the predominant species that occupy or use the project site. So the affected areas consist mostly of ag land or open space, rather than areas that are identified as habitat for any of these predominant species. H, the proposed action requires the conversion of more than 10 acres of forest, grassland, or any other regional or locally important habitat. Currently have no or small impact for that. And I, proposed action, commercial, industrial, or recreational projects only involves use of herbicides or pesticides. This is a residential project. As part of the draft part 2, all of the items under 7, impact on plants and animals, we've selected no or small impact may occur. 8 is impact on agricultural resources. The proposed action may impact agricultural resources. Yes has been selected. So A, the proposed action may impact soil classification within soil group 1 through 4. Currently have no or small impact. However, we will have to verify if U.S. Ag soils group 1 through 4 are present on the site. B, we have proposed action may sever, cross, or otherwise limit access to agricultural land. No or small impact selected for that. We don't believe that the improvements that are being proposed would sever or prevent access to any agricultural lands. C, the proposed action may result in the excavation or compaction of the soil profile of active agricultural land, currently have no or small impact. I'm not super familiar with this area, but I'm not sure if this is active ag land or not. But that'll be something we'll need to confirm. D, the proposed action may irreversibly convert ag land to non-ag land uses, either more than 2.5 acres if located in an ag district or more than 10 acres. Moderate to large impact is selected for that as the project does reach this threshold as it is converting nearly 36 acres of existing ag land to residential lots. E, the proposed action may disrupt or prevent installation of agricultural land management system. To our knowledge, this is not going to impact any land management systems, irrigation, or plowing, or any of those sort of things. F, the proposed action may result directly or indirectly in increased development potential or pressure on farmland. Currently, we have no or small impact may occur. The proposed action will introduce residential development, but that is identified in adopted plans and is adjacent to existing residential development. And then the proposed project is not consistent with the adopted municipal farmland protection plan. No or small impact may occur has been selected. The comprehensive plan, active farmland map for the town identifies this property as rural residential with ag acreage. This is the same classification identified for similar projects, Willis Hill Estates, as well as Stonebrook subdivision. And the comprehensive plan future land use map contemplates the property as medium density residential. So all but item D, no or small impact was selected. Next, item 9, impact on aesthetic resources. The land use of the proposed action is obviously different from or in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed project and a scenic or aesthetic resource. No is selected. There are no designated scenic or aesthetic resources within 5 miles of the project site. 10, impact on historic and archaeological resources. The proposed action may occur in or adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource based on the New York State DEC EAF mapper. Yes has been selected. For all of the items under 10, no or small impact has been selected. No buildings, archaeological sites, or historic districts listed on the state or natural registry of historic places, or any that are determined eligible for listing, have been identified either on the property or adjacent, and there are no known historic or archaeological resources presently identified on the project site. Item 11 is impact on open space and recreation. The proposed action may result in a loss of recreational opportunities or reduction in open space resource as designated in any adopted municipal open space plan. Based on the town's current plans, no has been selected. And then 12 is impact on critical environmental areas. The proposed action may be located within or adjacent to a critical environmental area. This project site is not within those designated areas, so no has been selected. Next is 13. The proposed action may result in a change to existing transportation systems, yes has been selected. A, projected traffic increase may exceed capacity of existing road network. The applicant did submit a traffic analysis that estimates approximately 51 vehicle trips during weekday morning peak hour and 67 trips during weekday evening peak hour. The New York State DEC EAF workbook, the threshold that they have for significant increase in traffic is 100 trips during a peak hour, so this does not meet that threshold. So no or small impact has been selected. B, the proposed action may result in the construction of paved parking area for 500 or more vehicles for 73 homes. This does not meet the threshold, so no or small impact has been selected. C, the proposed action will degrade existing transit systems. I don't believe there are any public transportation facilities or access points identified as being removed or relocated. They won't be affected. D, the proposed action will degrade existing pedestrian or bicycle accommodations. No or small impact may occur has been selected. This project do not anticipate the removal or any sort of negative impact on pedestrian or bicycle accommodations. E, the proposed action may alter the present pattern of movement of people or goods. No or small impact may occur has been selected. So the action obviously is going to alter existing patterns of movement. There will be an additional roadway. However, it's going to be connected to existing roadways and provide additional means of access between the proposed subdivision and the town street network. And it's consistent with future roadway connections identified in the town's official map. So for item 13, no or small impact has been selected for all items. Impact on energy, number 4, the proposed action may cause an increase in the use of any form of energy. New residents are being built, so yes has been selected. All the items under 14, no or small impact may occur has been selected. The residential development likely is not going to require any sort of creation or extension of any like energy transmission or supply system of any type. I don't believe they will exceed any of the thresholds outlined in this
Is that
section.
been, or can that be confirmed with RG&E, just so we know quantitatively?
Yep.
We have coordinated with RG&E, and I'm not sure if we can provide a will serve letter.
Can you provide those that correspondence?
We've reviewed this with RG&E over the last couple of years to see if we had the capacity to handle this subdivision. And they will not give us will serve letters until we have, is it preliminary or final approval? I believe it's final, correct? They will not give us will serve letters until we have final approval, but we have emails going back and forth and we've coordinated through this entire process that we're actively working towards final approval. And they said they will serve once we have final.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have item 15, impact on noise, odor, and light. The proposed action may result in an increase in noise, odor, or outdoor lighting. Yes has been selected for that. All of the items within 15, no or small impact may occur has been selected. In terms of any noise, odor, or light impacts that are associated with construction, again, those will be temporary and limited. Provided that the subdivision lighting will meet town code standards, we don't anticipate any significant negative impacts for that. And any sort of exhaust or odors will just be routine for residential use. Item 16, impact on human health. The proposed action may have an impact on human health from exposure to new or existing sources of contamination. Based on the information provided in Part 1, no has been selected for item 16. Item 17, consistency with community plans. The proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans. No has been selected. As indicated previously, the town's comprehensive plan, the future land use map, marks this area as medium-density residential development, and the plans are also consistent with the town zoning code. Item 18, consistency with community character. The proposed project is inconsistent with the existing community character. No has been selected. These are single-family homes. This is an extension of, an established residential development pattern in the area.
Just to that point, though, on B, the proposed action may create demand for additional community services, e.g. schools. That's the one in particular. So if there is a way to quantify development of this size, how many likely school-aged children would likely occur, and then, what, if any, impact it has on the school. I just think it's worth running some numbers on that.
I agree.
So you could say yes, no, or small impact with the with the additional task of running what Al just said, analysis about anticipated.
Yeah, I mean, with the school and perpetual capital improvement, expanding, it just would be nice to know what, if any, impact that this might have.
There was a Morel project that we reviewed, the one in Fishers there, I believe, and we asked the same question, and they went to the school and they got some data for us, and they showed us the impact. I think it'd be good to check in again on that issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you put 74 homes in, you're bound to get kids.
So item 18 will be revised to yes, and the corresponding A through G will be submitted to the board prior to the next meeting. Yeah. 19, impact on disadvantaged communities. The proposed project may impact a disadvantaged community. No has been selected. This project area is not within an area that's been designated as a disadvantaged community by the state. 20, the proposed project may be vulnerable to future physical climate risks or increase the vulnerability of human or ecological communities to future physical climate risks. Based on the Part 1 information provided, no has been selected. This is not in a floodplain, it's not impacted by sea level rise, and it's likely to increase any human or ecological vulnerabilities. So that was a quick run through of, this is draft Part 2. I'll follow up on the services as well as energy questions, as well as complete section 18 regarding consistency with community character. I guess if anyone has any additional.
I have a couple of things,
Yes.
if I could. In 13, impact on transportation, I guess that's the area where I see a number of the comments from the residents that are applicable concerning safety, speed, controls, one-way entrance versus two-way entrance. I think I heard there was some sort of reply back from someone on that. I had asked Wes last time we met if the traffic engineer in your business could take a look at this and render an opinion from his position with respect to not not only the number of trips, which you referenced, comes near a DEC requirement, but I'd just like to know from a traffic engineer if he sees that speed could be an issue here and safety. Those were all very loud and clear that I received in previous meetings, and I think it should go under 13, impact on transportation, because I just don't see another place to put it.
Yeah, we should address them in that piece, I think.
Okay.
We need to be, as Scott said, responsive, so.
Okay.
Thanks, Scott.
That's what I have.
Anyone else? Trish? Al?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Kate. That's
Okay.
thorough.
Thank you, Susie.
Is there anything else, Lisa, or was that?
No, I
Yeah.
think that was it.
Okay. Unless you guys have anything else for us, I think we've done our review for the evening.
I guess it seemed like there was a consensus that option B was the option that we,
At least 3. So I'm still concerned about the flag lots behind, but definitely moving the road that you suggested, was it Road C, is it, the cul-de-sac there? Readjusting a few of those lot lines makes some sense. So. Yeah, and the public hearing is still open. Yeah, if it's a public hearing, it's open, so if you want to take a couple minutes, 3 at max, if you could. There's remaining open. Yeah, 3 times 5. So 1, 2, 3, okay.
So Sam Dragos, 1085 Azano Circle. Okay. I have a few questions. One harkens back to my original question from a few months ago in regards to the 1 entrance versus 2 entrance. I have a list of neighborhoods in the town of Victor that are all 1 entrance. So I would like to understand and have this question answered as to why those homes were permitted to have 1 entrance. If I may. The neighborhoods are Erica Trail. I looked at it again. You had said that there is like a hidden one. There isn't. Erica Trail has 80 plus homes. Stone Lee Trail has 34 homes. Hertfordshire Way, 35 homes. Oak Ridge Drive, 36. Waters Cove, 35. And Barkin Dune.
Yeah.
It's 1 entrance into that neighborhood, and it's 85 homes.
Yeah, and just understand that every one of those that you've cited were approved prior to changes in the town's access management codes.
What year
and
were those changes?
I don't have it offhand. I don't, Keith, would you know?
Adam put together a memo and it was brought up at the last planning board meeting. It's actually the state code, and I believe it was 2015.
I don't think you're on.
Oh.
2015 was what was heard. However, Erica Trail was well
Before
after
that,
that.
it was approved before that, I believe. Adam put together a memo at the last meeting, which we'd be happy to supply you with.
Yeah.
Supply how?
You can contact the planning and building department and we can get you a copy of it.
Which person?
You can email me.
Okay.
Planning
Yep, Lisa.
or Lisa Boughton.
Lisa, okay.
You can ask for that memo, and just ask like a FOIL request. So if you
Okay.
need information on, I can give it to you.
If you
Okay.
need that, there are cards in the back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think
So,
I'll drive by here and I'll be able to
Yeah.
stop in and whatnot.
Come on.
And then, thank you for that. Question to the developers then. For lot 37, why not have a hammerhead instead of having the lot 37? Because the homes were increased from originally, I believe they were 73 homes, and then it was 74 homes, and now it's 76. So why not remove lot 37 and place a hammerhead there? That way it can be a walking path connecting the 2 neighborhoods.
Could you use the pointer, because I'm not sure which lot you're referring to?
Thank you.
There's a laser up there, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So if we have a hammerhead here, That way, it can allow for a walkable trail path connecting these two neighborhoods rather than two roads.
Well, we already
So that-
have, go ahead.
Yeah, that memo that you're going to foil gets into all of this, but it's per the state fire code, so we don't have any control over it. That can't happen. It has to be a fire apparatus access road, which they went over at the last, I don't know if you were here at the last meeting.
I was not.
Yeah, they went over this at the last meeting in detail, I believe. I also was not. I watched it on YouTube afterwards. But I believe all that information, Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, is in that memo.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Another question then, for the,
The residential homes have never changed. It's 72 homes that we're proposing to build. That's what we initially started to. There is some confusion because of the conservation easement and the existing house on the main road on Brownsville. So these numbers, there's 72 houses that we're proposing to build up there, and that number's never changed.
oh, that's fine. I
Yep,
mean,
just to clarify for you.
yeah, I never really minded for the 72 homes. It's good that you guys are building 72 homes. I'm here just because of the traffic between the two neighborhoods. And then also, for the proposed tree line that would, I don't know, segregate the two neighborhoods as well too, whose obligation, or actually whose responsibility is it after development where if trees, fall prone to diseases and die and they don't reach that mature height and state?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is an easement, but this is still going to be part of their property. So if you look at lot 34, their property line goes to here. It's just there's a conservation easement on this. So technically, this is their property. Just like.
Which property, the homeowners?
Yeah,
The one
home,
homeowner?
Lot 34, they would own this property here. There would just be a conservation easement on what they could and couldn't do on
So
there.
if the tree dies, then it's on that homeowner, and if they choose not to replace that tree, then it's still left bare and open.
I mean, that, is something that the town could potentially enforce, but I doubt would. But yes, it's more the homeowner's responsibility.
Is there
Okay.
going to be a homeowner association involved in this?
Nope, it's just, they would own the property, and then the conservation easement is to keep them from building on it, tearing it down, and just like we're doing with this woods here, it's the same thing. If a tree goes down in these woods, I guess the golf course could replace it, but it's up to them. So, but that is their parcel. Just like on this side over here, I'm not sure, are you on this side of the Zano?
Lower.
Down here?
Yeah.
Okay, so on this side here, you have a conservation easement. So that parcel right there is your property or all these homeowners' property, but then there's a conservation easement that we're gonna marry here. So, I think these people have maintained that space, and that's what we would expect of the new homeowners on the opposite side. So there's currently a 50-foot easement here, and we're proposing a 50-foot easement on this side with a same conservation easement.
Yeah, that's fine. So still though, the responsibility falls on the homeowner if the tree dies.
Yes.
Right, so then if the homeowner decides not to replace it, then it would still be bare and open. Okay.
I mean, we're here for, this isn't gonna happen overnight, so.
No,
We'll be here for a while, and I would.
it's just a question, yes or no?
Yeah.
Basically.
We'll be the owner for quite some time to maintain it, and then once we sell the lot, which these will be the last ones that we sell, because we're gonna start from Brownsville.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So going back to the hammerhead, has the question been posed if it's, there's going to be a hammerhead on one side? Has the question been posed, if it's a hammerhead, does that negate the necessity for a two entrance into the neighborhood?
No. You have to have the through, beyond 30 homes, I believe it is, you have to have a second access point, which this was always intended to be for that parcel, an access point. And the hammerhead on the other end is because that's a future access point to the next property, but snowplows can't go through, so they needed the hammerhead to push snow off of the street beyond the last two homes on that portion of the road. so they could turn around, and that's the only reason there'd be a hammerhead. So
Okay.
I think it was mentioned early on that they may be able to work out some space on the adjacent parcel for the hammerhead access with the Rays who own the property, so.
Okay, well, thank you for answering my questions.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, I like the design, it's just the concern for the trees if they die. What types of trees would be used? Do we know?
Yes, we want to do some evergreens, and also a type of pine that would be resistant to the deer eating them. So, probably a Scotch pine or something like that, the landscaper would work with. So something that has greenery year-round, because you have nice deciduous there now, but you lose the leaves. So we want something that's going to be green constantly, and that also grows. I just put 4 Scotch pine in my backyard, and in a year they're a foot taller. So they're great for creating privacy.
And then, I have to look at it a little bit more, but for the Scots pine, when they're grown together in that manner, as they become more mature, the lower half of the tree, the leaves fall off because they're all competing for sunlight, so it doesn't grow as full as it once did.
If you put them too close together? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure they're spaced out enough so that, we showed earlier where it would be in 5 years. So we're going to have a professional landscaper put them properly spaced. Because
Even for it to be 40 or 50 years now?
I mean, we showed 5 years. I'm not sure they're anticipating 40 or 50, but for the life of the tree. But I mean, it's not going to be too close where in 10 years they're fighting for each other's space. They'll be spaced out far enough. I'm not a landscaper, but we're putting in plenty of trees.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Looks like there's more interest for comments, so anything else you had?
Thank you for your time. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Mike Bonacci, 1081 Azano Circle.
Which is where on the street, just north or south of the street?
Bottom left says Lot 6 for Azano, I'm right next to it.
Okay.
Below, so Lot 37, I can't see what's behind Lot 37. But I see that you have a little bit of a berm there. Is there gonna be stuff surrounding that lot or just on the left side there? It's hard to see. Yeah, it doesn't show the back side of that lot.
The berming is more up towards the front, but it will.
Oh, I'm not gonna be able to get you on that, sorry.
Thanks, Lisa.
I'll just put that
Get
on
lazy. So because it's a shorter distance, we proposed, I believe, 2 berms on that side, where we had 3 berms on the opposite side. So it'll go down to where the 37 is, but that lot 37 beyond it backs up to solid trees.
Yeah, there's woods, like they say,
All
corner,
woods
that
back
kind of
there.
wraps around like
That
this.
you're enjoying now.
So last week, or last meeting, we talked about the fire apparatus road, and then, Joe, I think you mentioned the fire department has now requested a 2-lane access road, so
Well, they're
it's not
saying
a lawsuit.
they would not accept a 1-lane or or
So
temporary.
that's happened,
partial.
that happened in the last 2 weeks, is that,
Yeah,
okay.
that's their response, and same with the highway department, I believe. They also,
Okay, so that's now,
it's code.
okay,
have to follow.
because last week there was a lot of questions still, so that is now official, this will be a 2-lane road?
We asked for comments and we got them.
Okay. For the developer, early on in the process, you had mentioned working with the trail departments, where are trails gonna be throughout this development? Is that still in the,
But Dave left from Victor Hiking Trails.
yeah, that's still throughout this or not?
Yes.
Yep.
We're still working with Genesee Land Trust to deed the property to them and then work and get easements to the town so that the Victor Hiking Trails can maintain those. So towards the golf course, there wouldn't be.
Susie, can you go to the last, that might be a bigger,
Yeah.
that one, that might be easier.
So our concentration for trails is in this space, this 16 acres right here, and then also in this 16 acres back here. Mud Creek runs across here, and we're hoping to be able to get trails back to Mud Creek. It does flood back there pretty good, so questionable, but Victor Trails is aggressive. They want to get trails back there. And then the trail through here, we're talking potentially maybe wildflowers where this is an uses agriculture right now, could stay agriculture, but maybe wildflowers. So really kind of connecting this whole area here and then this space here. There's such a diversity of trail network. This is a huge ravine that goes up and down and through there. And then this is kind of floodplain in some areas, but then the creek is gorgeous back there. So really would like to get all of that hiking trails.
And what about streetlights through Nova Rise? Because Ozano doesn't have any. Is there any proposed streetlights in the development?
Just at Brownsville Road intersection as commented by Labella, requested by Labella.
Okay.
So that would just flag up the location of the entrance to the subdivision. But you're asking about like street lights along in front of every house or something? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like throughout the development, doesn't sound like there's going to be like multiple streetlights just at the Brownsville entrance area.
Correct.
Okay.
We would do a post light usually at every house on a sensor. That's what we've been doing of late.
And there's no code on a certain number of houses that you got to have streetlights because like phase 2 and 3 this may be a 200 lot at some point.
I don't think so.
I think for code, each house has to have a street light, if I'm correct?
Like a driveway light rather than,
Yeah.
we're not talking about a tall street lamp
Yeah.
that lights up the whole
You
area.
have a post light out front?
Yeah, just curious if like the
We'll have a
streets.
post light.
Yeah.
Yep, street lights.
And you're going to start at Brownsville, and will the Ozano Road connection road be made at the very, very end? Because you said no construction is going to occur, or no construction vehicles will use that access road?
Yes.
So will that be developed at the very, very end? Just to...
That's a good question. So our model will be up in this area. We'll start construction, and construction vehicles will go through this space. We have to connect to Ozano with our sewers, and we probably will stone this at first, but the housing actually would be concentrated usually on the first half. So we will build sewers, right? Sewers and utilities have to go all the way through. At some point in here, we will stop the blacktop and then just have a stone base, and then go back and do gutters and blacktop. That's what we anticipate doing, but the concentration of homes that we sell in the first section would be in this space right here, and then we would finish with the connection. Then maybe we go ahead and we put this, these berms in at the start so that we can maintain and make sure the trees, by the time we get back to building those houses, will probably be 2 to 3 years down the line, and it gives the trees that much more time to grow and be substantial by the time we put the houses up. We're just thinking of that.
And all your construction access would be from Brownsville, not from
Absolutely.
Ozano Circle?
Yep, we'll
Yeah.
put signs up and make sure, mistakes do happen by these contractors, but we will have signs up, and we flyer them. We're doing that at Honey
Can you just put a
now.
barricade across there?
Sure,
Yeah,
absolutely.
just that
Yeah.
way, just a simple
We will
concrete
do
barrier.
whatever it takes
Yeah.
to make sure the contractors
Yeah.
follow the rules.
Yeah.
And last question, like, will any of the lots have restrictions on certain fences or above-ground pools like we have in Ozano? Or is it
There will
nothing like that?
Yeah, that's a great question, absolutely. So we're marrying what we do at Honey Falls, and there are no above-ground pools allowed. So they all have to be in-ground pools. In regards to fencing, we really don't restrict fencing, we just enforce what the town code is in regards to fencing. Does that make sense?
Okay. Thank you all, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hey, how's it going? Jonathan Davis, 1066 Ozano. Couple questions as far as with the traffic with the 2 lanes. That's confirmed. So there is a house right in front of Ferranti, and if you drop down that hill to the house, it shines right on the house. It's not mine, but it is a neighbor's. Is there anything we can do to prevent that from going to that house?
Well, they can't
It's at an intersection,
move that intersection because it's
Right.
there and the right-of-way is well-defined, I believe, so. I don't know what you can do other than expect that people have low beams on, but that's,
Right.
you're in
Well, it
it.
was said that during the first meeting that it would not interfere with that house. However, we tested it out, obviously with
Yeah,
buses, in the morning, plow trucks at night, it's gonna be glaring through that house. And,
yeah.
it is what it is, I guess, but just didn't know if there's anything we could do to prevent that. And then also, if it is gonna be a two-lane street, is there somewhere to slow down people at the intersection? Because there's a
Stop sign.
sidewalk that goes straight through it. I just didn't know if there's like one of those ramp,
Well,
bumps.
the stop sign is the best traffic control you have.
Sure.
People have to slow down and literally stop at that intersection. So if you want traffic control, that's the best way to keep cars from.
Bill, didn't you bring up too in our meeting, isn't there a second stop sign at that other intersection? So in other words, there's two stop signs right in a row there, or am I?
So were you talking right there, Keith? At the cul-de-sac or back here?
Am I wrong on that?
I mean, this has got to be a stop sign here because the car, there's no
Yeah.
through.
Right.
And this one, from the circle, you'd have a stop sign, but the through is the question.
Right.
It just depends on what the town requires.
Yeah.
There was a definite no from the highway superintendent and the fire department, or the fire marshal on the speed bumps.
Oh, yeah.
What-
That's,
have you ever seen like the speed ramps,
Yep.
at the mall, you kind of go up and,
Yeah, we got them out at Cobblestone.
Yep.
Not Cobblestone.
Why would that be a no if it's,
It has to do with
safety for
road,
kids
it has to
that are
do with
riding down
road
the hill with a
maintenance,
bicycle?
road maintenance and emergency access. It's just what the fire marshal and the highway superintendent said.
Like if you go to Victor Commerce, or Crossing, they have a table right behind that center building, but that's all privately maintained.
Okay.
I think Keith's probably talking about the town roads. not
Yes,
wanting-
yeah,
not wanting-
I am 100% talking about dedicated roads.
Yeah, right.
Although we even had problems within a private plaza where they put in speed bumps in the fire departments.
Oh,
had
that
them
I
removed.
could see, yeah.
They had to be removed.
So, answer is no, that they wouldn't have them.
I just see kids riding bicycles, walking towards there.
The best traffic control you have, I'll keep going to it, is a stop sign.
Sure.
That will, if you start putting intermittent bumps and things, it just non-starter.
Okay. Is there a way to lock in a nature trail just like there is other things? Is that like a hard memo? I guess that's a better question for you. How do we know these guys are gonna actually lock that in and also like barricade the construction, and that way construction vehicles cannot enter in through a frontage?
He said that they'd do anything they needed to enforce construction access from Brownsville
I
Road.
just didn't know if that's enforcement, if it just, obviously trust these guys.
Well, yeah, concrete barrier is the best, best defense.
Okay, so as long as it's discussed, it's gonna be going on then, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming. Okay, cool. And same thing with the nature trail? Or is that just waiting on the?
Yeah, that's Victor Hiking Trails, isn't it? Or-
How do we lock in the nature trail that you're speaking about? Like, is there a way to 100% assure that, or is it just based off of?
We'll, once we receive final approval, there'll be an agreement that we're gonna, we'll decide if Genesee Land Trust is going to take the property. And then Victor Trails has already been here multiple times to say that they're willing to maintain them, and then we'll give an easement to the town. So it'll all be on the final.
Okay, gotcha. And as far as, is there any way that you can assure that that would be, like, what, as far as like a time frame for the nature trails, or is that as soon as you start selling houses, or is that before construction?
So my agreement with Victor is that we're going to put them in. So as soon as we're at a position where we can safely have access to them, then we want to put them in. Because it's an amenity that we have to spend money on, so we'd like to show that amenity to the potential customers as soon as possible. So we have to spend the money either way. And rather than just put it at the end, that you promised to everybody, we like to show it to people right up front.
For
So
sure.
we put these large boulders near the entrance so that it marks the trailhead, and then you approve it, and then Victor Hiking Trails is willing to maintain it as soon as we.
Okay. With the side street, the two two lane, is there any, I'm just thinking of ways to slow down that traffic, and you said no speed bumps, right? Stop signs would be stop sign. Could you put like the crosswalk like wider, like markings on the street, the way, make it reflective so people actually see that coming through?
I would say a pedestrian crosswalk where there's sidewalks makes a lot of sense.
But
So striping a sidewalk, I think.
was that already in the plans, I guess?
We don't know. We haven't gotten the final plans yet.
Okay. Can you make that in the plans, just to make sure that's extra wide and it's reflective and it's apparent that there could be a place that.
I'm sure the highway department might want to input in that.
Striping's easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if we have a detail in our design and construction standards for that, but it would be a standard crosswalk if you have a crosswalk. We're not gonna maintain, I'm speaking on behalf of the highway superintendent, but we're not gonna maintain some unique one-off. But I know we do have, there are some crosswalks in town that we repaint.
Yeah, I'm just saying this because it's kind of concerning that, you know, they did a traffic, you know, whatever, right? I think there's gonna be more than 50 cars going through at the peak in the morning. I mean, it's obvious, you've got 70 homes, they might be cutting through that way, you got school buses, you got FedEx, we've already talked about all this, right? I just think that that's just not a good number. I think it's gonna be twice that easily during peak times. So anything we can do to prevent, obviously, we're worried about the safety of our kids, you know, brought my kid here, he literally wrote down, hey, Dylan, what do you want to say? He said, kid endangerment. Right, when he's hearing, you know, it's not funny.
Well, we might be able to get
Smirk at it, right? But
a,
you probably smirk at it because it's been, you know, brought up so many times, but that we're serious, like we're concerned about our kids, right? It's one of the biggest things you talk about, safety, right? You're talking about endangered species, like, it's a serious matter, right?
and you can have advanced warning signs for the crosswalks, you know, yield to pedestrians and, you know, the bright green signs that you see with, you know, to tell drivers there's a crosswalk ahead so that you're not just relying on them to see the striping on the pavement, but actually having an advanced warning sign for crosswalks would make some sense if
Yeah,
that's
for
the
sure.
concern.
So, yeah,
right?
everything we can do to, you know, assure that that happens. The other thing you mentioned, trees, which I appreciate, that's awesome that you would do that in advance to, you know, building that side of the neighborhood. I was talking to a gentleman in the back, actually, he mentioned white spruce is a really good tree to put up as well. Deer hate it. It's similar to spruce, but it's more subtle. So kind of focusing on that, I think it might be a good.
Yeah, well, we'll
good
work
feedback.
with our landscaper, and then also the town has a conservation board that will advise us as well. They're working with us on the trails, and they would advise us too on what species that they would prefer. which,
Okay.
certainly is a benefit of everyone.
Okay, cool. That's all. Thanks,
Okay,
guys.
you're welcome. I trust no one else has any comments. I don't see any other, unless Dave wants to chime in. In that case, unless you folks have anything for us, appreciate your updates and hearing out the residents, and we'll see you at the next meeting you're scheduled for, so.
Sounds good. Thank
Okay.
you. Appreciate it more.
All right, thank you. Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Yeah.
Yeah.